Listen, y'all, if you can hit these shots, yeah, we can live with this. Good gosh, man. They leaked this. This was the one where they leaked for the sub, so it's probably going to be the ones where London does a little bit better, so I will give that disclaimer out right now. However, there's still a lot to learn from this for the Rein mirror. Yeah, we'll take a look. So basically, here's the deal with the Rein mirror. This is the deal with the Rein mirror here, without getting too in detail, going too crazy complex. Here's how the Rein mirror is played. Let's actually pull up our Microsoft Paint here, okay? So you guys were here for the Ramatra discussion on passive advantage, and I'm just going to absolutely milk the crap out of that one. Big shout out to Egoist Cat for, I guess, coining the phrase. We've talked about this, right? Great coaches aren't just good at understanding the game, they're great at coining phrases that really click, that stick in your head. So the way passive advantage works is it's basically like wherever we take a fight, if neither team uses a cooldown, who's going to win the fight, right? And generally, it's going to be the defending team because they're going to have the better positions. But it's more important than that, right? It's not just who has the better positions, who has the better angles, right? But also who has better mechanics, who has better cover usage, makes, like, for example, if Hottie hits more fire strikes, he does more pressure to the enemy team, which may or may not force more resources than the enemy Orion's fire strikes. If Sparker has a better off angle than Aspire, but he hits 0 shots, then that's not a passive advantage, right? Sparker needs to have a better angle, that's a passive advantage, but he also has to hit his shots with just using his M1. So what Rein mirrors usually come down to, a lot of people think that Rein mirrors all just come down, wall off, run it down mid, you know, and that's definitely true to an extent. Oh, I need to update the Twitch codes command. Hang on, chat, I'll do that really fast. But it's not just that. A lot of it is, if you're really good, if you have two very, very talented teams in the Rein mirror that are very good at patiently trading cooldowns, and you're not going to have one Rein gets walled off by a Maywall, especially in the year of our Lord 2023, and that's it right there. You just die. The Rein dies instantly. It's a lot more nuanced than that. You actually have to, I need to update the title as well. It actually comes down to, okay, like which Hanzo Cassidy hit scan had a better off angle? Did the BAP min-max their healing and damage output? Did the Reinhardt have a better corner? Another big one that you see a lot is if the Mei doesn't have an off angle, then if the Mei stacks with Rein, then the Mei will get swung on by the better Reiner. So like, let's say with our Lucio speed and our Mei, we focus the enemy Mei. One thing that you could do is if you focus the enemy Mei and force her ice block, then that's a huge cooldown trade. So you wall, you run in, you force ice block. That's oftentimes better than focusing the enemy Rein because a Mei without an ice block can't play as aggressive. So when your Mei is playing more defensively, that enables an enemy Mei to play more aggressively, do more damage, and then your Reinhardt dies, right? So a lot of little things that the Rein Brawl mirror could do to get an advantage. Most of it is going to do with the angle that your DPS takes, the quality of wall that your Mei gets, the target focus that your Mei and Rein provide, like being able to force lamp or forcing Mei ice block, the Lucio boops that either disable the enemy Rein or and enable your Rein by booping the Mei in, booping the BAP back, and then little things like, is your BAP going to get his lamp force because the enemy Cassidy took an angle and forced his lamp out, right? Little things like that. So this is a bit of a curb stomp from London, from what we know. Like, they full hold on first. So what I'm guessing is either some mechanics come to play, or we might just see Mei wall and they just run it down and just destroy them, which would be kind of depressing. But there's a lot to learn from this. Now, I get asked a lot about hero picks in the Brawl mirror. And this was I made a tweet about it just kind of like offhandedly, and I was literally had Smeeto in my DMs talking about it. But Hanzo is probably better in most maps. The reason why that's the case is because Hanzo has been played a lot historically in Brawl mirrors. Let's actually pull up our thing here. Get my paint here. So Hanzo's played generally when you're confident that's a Brawl mirror, because we need a DPS that can take a safe angle and put up pressure at about a mid-range. And Hanzo is really good at that. Cassidy is really good at that. But the difference between Hanzo and Cassidy, well, there's a couple differences, right? Sticky grenade, right? Very, very good in winning close range 1v1s. But generally, Cassidy in a Brawl mirrors is actually not taking aggressive close 1v1s. Depending on the map. There's usually a little bit more distance, right? He's not getting actively dove or dueling tracers or Genjis and so on, right? So A little bit less value there. The other advantage of Cassidy is the 25 HP, but if you're not being necessarily dove or put as a priority target to rush onto, a 25 HP isn't as valuable, right? Now, the hit scan is good, but would you rather have the 25 HP, which may or may not be useful, the sticky, which may or may not be as useful, or would you rather have a hero that can take and one-shot, take an angle and one-shot people? And think about it even from King's Row perspective. Your Hanzo, remember we talked about passive advantage, right? It's all about positioning, right? Your Hanzo, even on attack, can play a position like this, a position like this. If we get past this corner, he could take this position. If we get them through the choke, he could take this position and then rotate around. Just the Hanzo taking those positions gives immense pressure on the enemy backline. It's a dice roll. Is he going to hit a shot? Even if it's a body shot. Oh crap, right? We have to respond, right? And that's huge. So you have that, you have Storm Arrow, you have the one-shot potential, and then the other thing that we have to talk about a lot, especially because ults are a big thing in Brawl Mirror, right? You probably know where I'm going with this. High Noon is useful. It's better than it used to be because of the damage reduction, but it's not always super consistent. A High Noon into a beat can still get you run over. A High Noon into a Blizzard can still get you frozen. A High Noon into a Shatter can still get you stunned and killed, and so on, right? A High Noon even into a window can get you killed. You know, if you window into a High Noon, it's bad stuff. So the Hanzo Dragon ult, by the way, though, is one of the weakest ults in Overwatch 2, but it is actually one of the better DPS ultimates in the Brawl Mirror. Because when we talk about creating space and breaking chokes with relatively immobile heroes and, you know, Mei and Bap and Reinhardt, it's not a fight winner every time, but it does create space, and it is useful. Now, one last thing I'm going to talk about. One of the weaknesses of, or strengths of Hanzo, right, is the high ground mobility. One of the weaknesses is the 200 HP. In Overwatch 1, Hanzo was still played a lot in Brawl Mirrors, but there was a little bit of a downside where you theoretically, if the Diva was really good, she could just fly in high ground and contest your Hanzo and clear your Hanzo, or even kill your Hanzo. Overwatch 2, there is no Diva in Rein Mirrors. So the things that made Hanzo great, the vertical mobility, you can't contest it anymore. You can dive Hanzo? No, you can't. You don't have a Diva anymore. So Hanzo got indirectly even stronger. Does that all make sense? Now, Cassidy might still be good. I mean, Cassidy theoretically could still even be better if you have a crazy Cassidy. I mean, I don't know how the impact of the fall off changes, but I do like Hanzo a lot, and this is why. Now, why are they playing Cassidy? Maybe Sparker's better at Cassidy, but the probable reason is that they don't know what they're going to roll out on. They don't know. If you don't know if it's going to be Cassidy or Hanzo, if they roll out on, like, let's say Dive or Spam or something like that, you might be careful about rolling out Cassidy. So I actually think Hanzo's better in the Brawl Mirror on first point. I think the amount of high grounds is better, but we don't know that they're going to roll out on Rein, right? So I don't know. I do agree that Hanzo is good on second and third point, because especially on third point, like, the high ground's crazy. But I do think Cassie's still, or Hanzo's still really good on first. But again, it's only because we know, but we don't know. So let's see what happens there. So that was a lot of discussion about the Brawl, the pick itself, just because I think it's interesting to consider that. But it's probably not going to be a huge deal. Like, picking a small hero that's slightly better than Hanzo or slightly worse than Hanzo isn't likely the most important thing right now. Bastion? Okay, so Bastion is just a cheese pick. I'm not going to lie with you guys. Bastion doesn't control off angles enough, and if you survive or kite the Bastion Mei power cycle, which is Mei wall, Bastion, burn, Rein, if you could break wall and get your Rein out, then the Bastion has this massive downtime, and Bastion just can't take angles. Because he can't win a 1v1 versus a Cassidy or a Hanzo. He just can't. Even in his turret form, it's way too easy to be a Bastion in turret form. So Bastion is just a skill check. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. It's a skill check. If you're losing the Bastion, my understanding of the hero right now is you're not good at playing Brawl. You're not good at taking angles. It's a skill check on your Mei to counter wall. It's a skill check on your Rein to break wall and get out of wall. It's a skill check on your DPS to take a proper angle. Bastion is a noob stomper, but it is not a good hero. Aspire nails backbone. Now, this is weird. This is weird. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. The Sojourn is a strange one to me. You could do a lot of the things that Hanzo can do with taking off angles, but I think she farms rails so slow, and the removal of slow on E means that we lose too much utility in front. Because May guys mean angles, right? But May wall utility on main is really darn good. So if you don't have a hero that dominates on angles, I don't like the Sojourn as much. Now this might be a first point cheese. And this might be that they don't think that they have a May that can contest this. Maybe this is just scrims and experimentation, of course. But I think that this is probably the worst composition, and it is definitely a little bit worse, probably almost certainly in the ult trade as well. That being said, if you were to play Sojourn Hanzo, this is how it would look like. Do you see this? This is the strengths of the composition. You have set up two very split, wide open off angles so that whoever walks in the point gets turbo stomped. So this is a good setup. I just don't know if it's a good comp. So they're giving 2 ticks, trying to avoid feeding charge, trying to avoid taking damage into the last possible second. Now here's what we're probably going to see. And you can already see this setup right now. Heidi's going to walk to point. Landon needs to avoid getting shot by Sugar Free and stall point. But the real victory of this composition is going to come through with what likely happens on the flank, which is either Admiral speeding Sparker or Sparker going by himself to contest this off angle. And my concern with the Sojourn is I don't think the Sojourn is good enough without Railgun to actually win the 1v1. I think Cassidy beats Sojourn in a 1v1 now, unless the Sojourn has Rail, and we've given her no opportunity to farm Rail. So what will happen is either this guy will die, or he'll have to go to his team, which then allows Sparker to swing wider and wider, and we talked about passive advantage. Cassidy gets more and more and deeper and deeper and deeper and does more and more damage to backline, harder, and then we just lose. I'm shocked, frankly. Hottie should not win this. At some point, they're going to have to take an angle. It might be that they wanted to wait for the angle for when Backbone was here, because Backbone just got here. But this shouldn't be good. This is the Maywall. There's the angle. Attaboy, Sparker. And you see how this has shifted the Batiste positioning a little bit. There's Sparker on the angle, shooting Rein. And then this isolation allows Admiral to kill. This is like a little bit of mechanics, y'all. This is weird. Oh! I'm really shocked that they tried this. I think the more consistent play would have been to swing wide with your Lucio to actually take a better angle here. But listen, y'all, if you can hit these shots, yeah, we can live with this. Good gosh, man. And I will say, we still have passive value from Sparker holding this position. He is just keeping gate kept, like preventing the bat from taking an angle that he wants to take. This is just, even if we don't hit a lot of shots here, right? This gate keeps a lot of positioning with it. So now, surely we see Sparker swing wide. Yes, look at this. Pump chases, doesn't matter. And that's it. Good Maywall. That's it, yeah. Sugar-free angle might have slowed Sparker there. Potentially. I still think it would have been the more consistent play there. The swing wide there with the Lucio pocket to just make sure there's, because I think the kill in the Spire was more likely than the kill in Sugar-free. But yeah, Lucio duel. I'm actually kind of curious, where did all of the Spire's ult charge come from? Was it just shooting Reinhardt? Because I just don't feel like it must have just been shooting Reinhardt. He is getting rail off of Rein shield, which is nice. I don't feel like Aspire should be allowed to play here necessarily, but it is what it is. Okay, so a lot of just kind of like farming rail off of Reinhardt shield. Yeah. And again, I don't really think Vancouver's setup there was that bad. I think it was actually pretty good for the composition. I think it made a lot of sense. I'm tired of this keeps happening. These sticky grenades keep bugging out. So this is like the bread and butter of Reinhardt traits. It's going to be Maywall on Rein at some point. Same time, Sparker takes an angle and forces split pressure, right? And right where Crimzo is like sweet succulent juice for Sparker. So let's see what happens. Let's see if they do something different. There's the BAP window. There's the Maywall. I'm actually surprised Sparker doesn't take an angle here. Sparker, okay, listen. Sparker needs Coach Spilo yelling in his ear, because this is That was one of the more egotistical things I've ever said, but it is what it is. Because this is dangerous. Look at Sugar Free's angle here. And you see how Punk actually might not even die here? He might actually live. The kills here are not here. The kills here are what space the window will provide. Which, if we flank here, do you see what this has provided? Do you see this, guys? Free kill right here. Free kill right here. We get nothing out of Sparker shooting through window. Sparker, where is Sparker? I'm legit gonna... Is he in scrims right now? I'm literally gonna message this guy. I'm literally gonna DM him. Give me a second, chat. Hang on. One second. Okay, we're good. So yeah, this is very this is level 1 Reinhardt execution right now. And the problem, you guys can see it right here, is if Aspire actually takes this angle here, is actually Aspire could charge a shot, and Aspire could kill Backbone. Sugar Free is every time he takes a shot, it's a roll of the dice. Sugar Free should be hitting shots here. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. So what I imagine here is maybe Sugar Free gets dueled again. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't like this. I really do not like this. Because Hottie does his job, Backbone does his job. They create space. They force a massive resource trade. They force a ton of crap. Even Landon does his job, but we need to be winning the fight elsewhere. Like, remember, guys, we force pressure on main so that off angles open up. But then obviously this happens right through the window. Brilliant. This has been all micro. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. It's been a lot of mechanics. That and the Sojourn just hasn't done a whole lot, to be honest with you guys. Yeah, this is... I'm actually not even that impressed so far, y'all. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. This Brawl execution, it could be a lot better. But we're 2 fights in. Now Sparker takes the angle, but he needs to be really careful because this is Sonic and there's nothing happening on main. So he has to be really careful about peeking this angle. So now this is where we get to like the really big advantage of like Rein, because when you have your Mei ult, if you have Mei wall and the enemy team doesn't have Mei wall, your Blizzard should always kill the Reinhardt without exception, unless they also beat it, but they don't have beat. Because the way you prevent Blizzard from killing your Rein is 3 things: you need lamp, you need your Mei wall, and you need a pen. So what you do is the pen, it depends, right? So you need to counter Mei wall the Blizzard, so you block off the LOS of the rest of the backline, and then you need to lamp it as late as you possibly can, and then you hard shield afterwards with your BAP shift. But if you don't have your own Mei wall, the Rein probably just dies. Can we see the stream stats? I mean, I guess. Just wait till the end. Just wait till the end. You need a pen? Can I ask questions that's not related to the VOD? If you have questions not related to the VOD, probably better to ask Spilo or wait till when we're in the downtime between maps. So now we're gonna Mei flank. Now, this is brilliant trade. This is a brilliant trade. But the irony, chat, is Sugar Free is making the same mistake that Sparker was making. Look at this. All right, we're to BAP window, guys. BAP window. Get ready. Here we go. BAP window. Storm arrow, BAP window, right? But look at what Sugar Free gives up when he does this. Guys, remember, guys, these are, come on. These guys are Overwatch League. They're better than this, right? You only need 1 or 2 people shooting through BAP window. You only need 1 or 2 people shooting through BAP window to get value. Look at what Sugar Free gives up by giving off this angle. Watch. Look at this. Right there. Medtiner fangirl, thank you so much for the sub, mate. Do you see this? If our Hanzo's babysitting this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Because the thing is they have BAP window, which means May wall is really good at countering BAP window because you could just run on top of it, wall it off, and drop May ult into it. Completely shuts it down and wins you the fight. But a lot of this is Sugar-Free's positioning. Sugar-Free should not be prioritizing and shooting through BAP window. If anything, Sugar-Free should be sitting right here through this angle or continuing to rotate from here where you can entirely avoid May ult and still shoot backline for free. Do you see this angle, guys? This is come on, this is early scrims. Let's put it that way, put it nicely. This is not good, not a good setup. Aspire's setup is really quite good. BAP setup is fine. I mean, Punk setup is okay. We're just selling Punk, like whatever, it's fine. But I'm really not pleased with Sugar-Free setup. Like, really, both of these teams are not doing a very good job in setting things up. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. But this is a really, really nice play from Backbone and Admiral. This is exactly what we're talking about. The May wall is instant, the May ult's instant, Punk should die. The only problem here, actually, okay, chat, what's the mistake here? If you guys have watched any of the Pro-Am with Cloudy, you would know the mistake here. What's the mistake? Can you describe the angle for me? I'm illegally blind. I'm not sure what you mean. Hydrate, thank you. What's the mistake? London's mistake here. London's mistake. We talked a little bit about target focus. No. Not really. So this is something that Hottie knows. This is what, well, yeah, the May wall placement isn't perfect, but that's honestly not the biggest issue in the world. The problem with this here is that this communication, there's probably a communicational issue here because Hottie needs to already be on top of Punk because the way you set up your May ults is you need your Rein to pin into wall. This is why the communication has to be perfect because Hottie, if Hottie doesn't get the timing right, Hottie dies to BAP window instantly, right? But if we don't get the timing right perfectly, we need Hottie to pin Punk. Because one of two things happen. Either Hottie pins Punk into the wall and then Punk is frozen and dies, or Punk counterpins and then gets frozen and dies. You have to pin until your May ult advantage. You have to pin. So this isn't a mistake that Hottie doesn't know. This is, I promise you, a communicational error where the timing wasn't super clean here. And so Hottie isn't able to get there in time. So by the time Hottie gets there, Punk literally just walks away. So we do get value because you see like the chaos this May ult is provided. It shut down the window and it's caused a lot of chaos. So we might probably still win the fight off of this, but Punk should have died. Punk should have died. Right, the timing has to be like super clean. Like I said, early scrim stuff, you know what I'm saying? We do get the BAP though, that's wild. I will say this though, this ult from Aspire is clean. If Crimzo plays this one better, why does Crimzo get frozen? Oh, he just gets too close. Yeah, if Crimzo plays this one better, he jumps out, he survives, he pockets Aspire, and actually once again, I feel like London loses this fight. This angle from Aspire is clean. If he gets any BAP help whatsoever, this fight is won. Look at this. Look at this. You see this? This is tight. It just Crimzo feeds. I'm really not impressed with London's execution here right now. This is early season stuff. Promise you by even at the end of the next stage or that this the level of play. I mean, it depends on how much expertise they have with Brawlmere. Like I don't know how much teams are playing at Brawlmere, but this is not good. You would see, I don't know that you would see better mechanics, but you'd see better execution from some of the teams that were playing in the Pro-Am, in EU at least. This is just ego. This is just ego because they get the pick on Hanzo, and then they're like, guys, we have a brawl advantage still. Let's take it. Probably BAP window this if anything. You could probably BAP window this honestly. 3, 2, 1, BAP window. Beat. No. We get out. 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 Can we get Hottie out? There's the lamp. There's the shatter on Punk. He's gonna try and pin him out into the BAP window. There's the beat. Nice job. This is just good ult economy. That's like that right there is good like ult trading, right? You're up one, you feed a little bit, you force beat, you counter shatter, then you beat later, you guarantee win the fight. Obviously using 3 for 1 there isn't amazing, but it's not a horrible trade there, and it does stagger things out. Let's actually check out Admiral Boot. Good call. Because I'm not going to catch every detail, y'all. So if you see something that you want to look at, just holler and we'll take a look. But yeah, this is a classic. This is a classic, you know, Blizzard setup. You want to try and boop one of the DPS back in. So we try to boop the Hanzo. We don't get it. This is why map control matters, y'all, right? He goes to control the off angle, and then there you go. That's a huge play from Admiral right there. Some nice mechanics. Yeah, nice. Yeah, the Admiral played well that fight. What should Crimson have done there? I just should have kept his distance. Like, they have to track Mayult. They must know Mayult is coming, right? It's the first ult track, right? You see the DPS, so they know Mayult, so you know as soon as BAP window comes out, either they're going to fully LOS, so then you could pop it here, and you don't need to be here. You could be playing this corner here, and you guys saw it. It was a matter of inches. Him walking forward there was a huge mistake. Huge mistake. That walking forward and swinging wide from the corner was what killed him. If he backs off here and just jumps up top, he doesn't get his lamp forced, nor does he get his shift forced, and he's pocketing a Spire. London actually just straight up loses instantly. Oh, bronze icon, good call. My bad. And again, guys, I'm being tough on the London boys because I know they're gonna get better. This is just me. This is just early season foolishness. Somebody in chat was asking me, like, why am I so nice to some teams and tough on others? I don't like to gang up on teams that everybody's like all, you know, everybody knows is, you know, going to have some issues this season. But we should have higher expectations for London, you know? So, and they'll sort it out. It's also, I know these guys, so it's a good fun. No, so some of these 4v5 situation teams are willing to invest old stuff. So some teams are willing. It's part of it's a cultural thing. I think from what I've heard with working with players that have played in Korean servers, I've coached a couple of Singaporean players. I've worked with some Korean players. They do have a tendency to ult 4v5, but I don't think it's even necessarily like a confidence or cockiness thing. I think when we have to think about 4v5, it's not always a strict 4v5. A lot of the times to get a kill, you have to use more cooldowns or overextend. So let's put it this way. If you dive the enemy backline and you kill the Ana, but you've used all of their cooldowns and the enemy team still has many of theirs, and your positioning is bad, but the enemy team's positioning is still good, you can ult 4v5 because it wasn't, you're a man down, but they're positioning down. Their cooldowns down. You kind of see what I'm saying? So you might actually still have an advantage even when you're down 4v5, or it might be more even than you think. So using all of your cooldowns to secure a kill can sometimes result in you still losing the fight. Because the man is the most important resource, because the man is what allows you to mouse one, or the woman, right? But if that person is dead, but it costs you literally everything to get that kill, you can still very easily lose the fight. They're not my children. Chris's children now, but yeah. They were my children. Their mother took them away from me. Okay, this is just ego. This is ego, but this is a really intelligent ego. Why is Sparker on the flank here? Why is Sparker on the flank here? No. Kree or Cass is a really good 1v1 hero on short, medium range off angles. Like, he's a phenomenal 1v1 hero on short off angles. And he's a real threat to BAP Lucio. You could be like, well, isn't Tracer a really good 1v1 hero? Yeah, but Tracer isn't as much of a threat to BAP Lucio as a Cass. Cass can bam, bam, right? High Noon, right? He's not gonna High Noon. But why is the High Noon on the hard flank a good play? Think about the big picture here. What are Vancouver gonna do right now? What must they do right now? Overtime, right? They must run to point. And guys, if you guys want to think about a classic cheese in overtime situations, when the enemy team has to touch, you could do some really corny stuff and get away with it. You could spawn camp squishies, you can hard flank, you can pull off whatever, because the enemy team has to worry about point. They can't be patient and do their homework. They have to run to point. So when they run to point, GG's. Surely this works, guys. Surely I don't look like an idiot. Now. Good enough. Good enough. Honestly, he probably could have held it longer, but yeah. Now, let's talk about this, because I think London still wins this. So, what is bad about losing Landon? Obviously, you lost your healer, right? But what is bad about Vancouver's right now? What's bad about Vancouver? We literally just talked about this 2 seconds ago. Right, they got the kill, but they have no space. They have no angles. Look at Sparker's positioning. And London have Blizzard, right. I want to watch. It's going to be Backbone or Sparker here, I think. Oh man, you know, I just want to. Come on, man. But yeah, you can see it right here. You see it, right? Sugar Free dies. And then Bap dies. You could, even without the C9 there, do you see? Do you see how this is just straight up Sugar Free just dies instantly? And now, tell me that even if they had touch, that Sugar Free doesn't die here, and then Crimzo dies, and then maybe even Aspire dies. Do you see this? All from this flank here. So you can see it. You can see it, but, you know, C9. Okay, well, honestly, bleh. not that great. Not that great execution, to be honest with you guys. A lot of mechanics from London, the first couple of fights, that big fire strike, the phenomenal duel from Admiral. Crimzo really makes a huge error. Some creative fight planning, I think, on the little ult thing here was cool. Not really. I mean, again, you guys have seen this. You know, here's the thing, guys. London, not playing particularly well. Vancouver, not playing particularly well. Atlanta, they looked really bad a couple times in the Shock scrim. Shock looked terrible. Vegas doesn't look that good. You know, Glads are getting full cap by Maryville. Okay, does every OWL team suck, chat? Well, obviously not. You know, this is just proving my point of what I said. The level of play just isn't there yet. Nobody's there yet right now. So we're gonna review an Glad's map after the next one. Map after the next. Right, exactly. So the Sojourn is super interesting to me. I don't get the Sojourn, y'all. I think, okay, so here's the thing. This was something that not ironically, but coincidentally, I think it was Aspire. And I actually think it was Vancouver last season who they played Sojourn into Spam with Spam instead of, I think it was Ash or Widow, because Reinhardt Shield fed a lot of charge. So maybe we've come full circle, and Sojourn and Reinmir's is okay because you consistently always have a shot. But also the rail charge from Shields is a lot lower. I don't know. I don't like the Sojourn that much. It might be like a comfort thing. The first point does provide a lot of slide positions, like here and here, right? So maybe that's something to consider. The point still stands, right? Like, you want a passive advantage by taking an angle and getting more pressure early on. Boston Scrum, not that we know of just yet. But yeah, I don't know. Aspire on the defensive Hanzo. They are going to play, you know, Rein here, so. And the problem with the Sojourn is, remember we talked a lot about like swinging wide on an angle, but I want Sparker to not swing with his team. But the problem with that is until he has railgun charge, he actually just straight up loses every duel that he takes on the flank here. So consider it like this. We want our DPS to take an angle, right? So that we don't give Maywall too much value and we don't give it too much space. But if Sparker swings wide here, he just gets killed by Hanzo. Like, Sojourn is one of the worst 1v1 heroes in the game until she has railgun. She is really weak until she has railgun. So what I would probably want London to do is try to farm charge first, rail first with Sojourn, then go call the push off of the Sojourn rail, and then we do this. Because then either my Sojourn can body shot the Hanzo and win the duel, headshot the Batiste and get good pressure, and then shift back to her team if she gets pressured out. So I actually really don't like the timing of this. They should try and time the split push around Sojourn Rail so that your Sojourn can split. Because if your Sojourn doesn't have Rail, she can't split. And if you can't split, I don't think you win the trade. Does that make sense? This is getting a little bit complex, but this isn't any different than what OWL teams have done in the past. I mean, this is a lot of how like the Winston mirrors were played, right? This is why, was it Shock or Dallas? I think it was, I don't remember. It was Dallas. Who beat Houston, y'all? Whoever beat Houston just abused the fact that their Sojourn played more aggressively and they didn't push until their Sojourn had Rail, and Dante was feeding charge. So if you could build Rail off of the enemy core and then time your pusher on that, I think the Sojourn has promise. But yeah, I don't like this, y'all. I really don't like this. I don't like this. Yeah, in playoffs. Decent Maywall. This is kind of what we talked about with the Hanzo, right? This is why this is the problem, right? Like, look at this. Every time Aspire takes a shot, it's a dice roll. He doesn't even get healing. He doesn't even grab the mini health. Okay, he does. But like, every time he does this, it's his dice roll. Like, is he gonna hit a shot? Is he gonna hit a shot? Is he gonna hit a shot? You see how terrible this neutral trade feels. Did they bait Maywall? Yeah, they had. Like, this is not a good trade. This is not a good trade for either team. The Maywall here from both is fine. They wall themselves out. This is a backbone special. So the reason why we wall ourselves out is you use both walls, but nothing happens. If you use both walls and nothing happens, that's a trade that favors the attacking team because they lose. The Maywall from the enemy team is more dangerous than it is for them. So they back it out and they set it to like a 50-50, right? A 50-50 favors the team that's not in a 50-50 situation. Yeah, and Backbone and Hottie have a lot of practice of doing this. My problem here is that just because we haven't timed this well with their Sojourn Rail, every time Aspire takes a shot here, it's a 50-50. And even without hitting the shot, do you feel the panic here? Like, Aspire's a good hit scam. Those shots will hit. Those shots will hit. You can't, I mean, look, this is horrible. This is horrible. They go in hard. They must be going in Sugar Free. Did Sugar Free use Ice Blood? No. How is Sugar Free so low? Mechanics? Maybe mechanics. Maybe Backbone just hits the right click. He does. So then they go hard. Post. Do you notice that, chat? That you both use Maywalls. So now they still have to walk through a choke a little bit, but it's a little bit less punishing. And so now Sugar Free is target number one. Notice that they're going for Sugar Free. They're not going for Punk. Going for Sugar Free, not going for Punk. Right? There's the value. The E is really nice at zoning off this angle so that Aspire has to rotate back to his team. Sugar Free should have wall now. Yeah, I mean... I don't know. There's the split. No reason to rush. We just chill. I don't like this. This is not executed well at all. Okay, chat. This is another classic early season moment. What do you do here? You're Vancouver. What do you do? Very important, because look at what London have done. London have created a split. I disagree. I think they should do something, but what they should do is not what they did do. You could either wall, spark, or off. No, right, I agree. You need to play for space. So you need to, first off, decisively pick something. But I actually think the better play here would be to wall off the Rein Bap and swing wide with your Lucio, Hanzo, Bap, May, everything on everything else. Hey, Comp. Take space. Take space. Just don't ignore the Rein. Wall the Rein off. Or even if you don't even push right now, even if you don't even push, just send your Lucio and your Mei and your Hanzo and Bap over here. Take this angle here. You don't even have to push. You can just shoot. They will bleed to death. The problem here is that they take a split And then instead of like taking angles and just like taking, and again, when I mean angles, I just mean shoot people in the head, right? You don't need to run on top of them. They try to push. And by pushing, now who has the better angles? Who has the better crossfire now? You see it right here, right? You see who has the better crossfire right now? Right. So even though they're a man up, they're a significant positioning disadvantage. Even just to the fact that, look at Aspire. Who can Aspire shoot right now? Who can Aspire shoot right now? Right? Nothing. Nobody. Nobody! So part of this is, and then now we just roll the dice. Fat fire strike. Fat pen. Now Backbone's back. You got a crossfire from Sparker, and Aspire is just like, guys, can I help, please? Disaster. Disaster. That's a great bait by London there. Great bait by London. Horrible. Guys, when you have an advantage, do not just run it down mid. Take space. Be like, it's all like an anaconda. You're squeezing them. You're squeezing the life out of them, right? You have an advantage. Take every angle. Take the greediest positions and just dare them to do something about it. Don't run it down their throat. That's such a noob mistake. Such a noob mistake. I'm being more rude this review. I don't know if it's the London rubbing off on me, but right. Because when they're down their Mei, you can play any angle that you want. You're fine. You could literally have your Mei, Hanzo, Lucio just go on a hit squad over here, and your Rein back to sit here and look at them. You know, nothing they can do. Space, 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 angle space, angle space, angle space, and mechanics. A lot of fights are won by mechanics. A lot of fights have been winning by space. Why is Backbone on high ground? Why is Backbone on high ground? Somebody tell me. Think about it. Deny Hanzo. Exactly. Yep. It's all space, right? A Hanzo on high ground does more damage and is more likely to get a headshot than a Hanzo on the floor. So the Spire can't be there. Exactly. Now, he might need Admiral to be up there with him to be that comfortably, but he has Hottie too. Look at Hottie. Look at Hottie. Why would Hottie be on cart right now? What does Hottie get by being on cart right now? Will we need Rein Shield to walk through the choke? Yes. Are we walking through the choke right now? No. So why would Hottie be on the floor? Sit right here. See, Hottie will solo shadow Aspire if he gets here too. I promise you. I absolutely promise you. We'll wall off and we'll pin this guy if he gets overextended. This is a great set play. I promise you this is a set play. Let's see what happens. He knows. He knows too. You see it? 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 They tried it. They tried it. So right now, London's macro play is looking a little shaky with like the but the set plays like that are still there. They're still there. These guys are good at these heroes. And Hottie still hasn't dropped. He's still up there. Ah! Okay, now he's got to drop because now we got to walk into the choke. But now we're vulnerable to Hanzo, but we did clear the Hanzo out. So, you know, hey, there you go. All right, chat. How do Vancouver win this fight, ladies and gentlemen? And then tell me how, because I promise you, you know what the fight. I know what the fight plan from London is right here. But I want you to tell me how do Vancouver win this fight first? Backbind? That's something else. Yeah, Aspire doesn't get baited. But Aspire did lose the spot. You know what I'm saying? Wall Bliss. Right. Very simple. You play patiently. You're there. Maybe they bap window or sojourn old or bap window or shot. Doesn't matter. You wall Bliss. Wall Bliss. Counterpin Hottie. He dies. Right. GG's. Easy. So how do London win this fight? Because the stupid Sojourn pick doesn't really give you a lot of options, right? So how do you win this fight? I'll give you guys a hint. We've already seen London do this set play before. Bait wall, right? And then what? What if Hottie gets walled? If Sugar Free's a good mate, he's going to hit the wall. You can only bait wall so much. Window, right? Maybe window for space. Watch this. Watch this. We can either window And then what I would predict is window, bait wall, and then Hottie and Backbone will do the elevator. They're gonna wall themselves up and amp speed out of Blizzard, or out of. So they will walk through, wall dojo, whatever she says, wall the floor, boop, amp speed out. They'll elevator out. You guys see what I'm saying? Remember they went in here and Backbone walled he and Hottie up and over on the wall? They'll do the same thing here. And then either they'll have baited and kited Blizzard, or they'll have baited wall and traded wall, which then means we can literally go 3, 2, 1, pin in with amp speed and window and avoid Blizzard almost entirely. Because the May wall is what sets up the Blizzard. You kind of see what I'm saying? You could have Hottie just amp speed out through here, even if they don't bait. So let's see what happens. They're going to try something like that. They're going to try and bait wall and then elevator out. Oh, they don't even elevator out. They do something even better. Do you see it? Wall off the May. So now May can't Blizzard. May can't wall. So now they can split and spread. So the Blizzard is harder. The wall and Blizzard are harder to get value out of. Now, what I would like them to do is to focus on Hanzo here. I think Hanzo's very killable right now. I think Sparker will probably, with speed, slide onto the Hanzo over here. But maybe not. Yeah, I think we could have split more. I think we could have played this fight more aggressively with more confidence in the London. I think, like, right here, I want to see, like, amp speed, shift in, kill Aspire, have our Lucio over here. This fight's probably lost because they did use 2 ults. But I think they could have played this one better. It is a really nice wall. Okay, why is this a really nice wall from Sugar Free, y'all? Why is my backline all stacked here? When we were able to get the early wall in May, and then we just stand here, I don't like that. Now, obviously, your BAP can't rotate through. He's going to get frozen. But I do think the advantage of Sojourn is that you could actually walk out and bust out and shift through with Lucio. So our May is stuck. Our BAP is stuck. But I see no reason why our Sojourn and Lucio can't be over here. I think that's a more... Because, again, it's like that's one of the advantages of Sojourn is that mobility. So I'm being nitpicky there. But it is what it is. Unfortunate. Probably clear top again in some way, shape, or form. Yep, now we're doing BAP Lucio clearing top. A little bit scary. Sparker trying to farm rail early. Okay, and then now we have a Brawl ult advantage because we will build our Blizzard first. So we could probably just see a 3-2-1 BAP window and then just take space from there. Probably a BAP window first. Now. Ooh, Fat Shatter. So they're going to explode out. Do you notice how safe the backline is playing? They're expecting Mail. Little RKO from Punk here. This is actually crazy from Landon. Check this out, y'all. Check this out. Look at that, y'all. Look at that. Look at that. He gets the lamp out. That's wild. Big May wall. Okay, so what's the mistake from Vancouver, y'all? Minor mistake, but what's something that Vancouver could be doing a little better here? Look at their front line. Do you see the issue here from Faith and from Punk? I think the wall is okay. It could definitely be tighter. Who should we be focusing? We talked about this earlier. Not even Rein, no. Should be booping her in and swinging on May. Force the block. Yep, force the block. Force the block. Should be forcing the block here. Backbone doesn't even get his ice block forced. That's pretty bad. And then Punk gets MTD'd. This will force a beat from Faith. but Backbone has gotten way too much. I mean, look at this. Backbone, oh gosh, guys, I didn't even see it. Backbone actually uses his shift from Shatter. Oh, this is a free kill. This is a free kill from Vancouver. Free kill from Vancouver. Oh. 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 That's a disaster. Disaster. And Backbone uses this to go deep and get on top of the Hanzo. This is a really nice rotation from Backbone. A good shatter from Hottie as well. Does Faith beat? Faith might beat late, actually. Oh, perfectly. Frame perfect. But it doesn't matter. Backbone's gotten space. Do you guys see? It's all a matter of space. Backbone should be dead, but worse than that, Backbone is not only not dead, he's actually in deep on your backline. Check this out. Look at all the attention he's getting. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, and then now the late ult. It does cost a lot from London. So if you're going to lose as Vancouver, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 ults for essentially two. But Vancouver should have won that fight. Vancouver should have won that fight. Fat Dragon, by the way. 3 ults, excuse me. Let's check this Dragon out. We talked about Dragon value in Brawl Mirror, right? Fat Dragon value. It does force the beat. It prevents, it zones out the BAP. It's a good Dragon. It's a good Dragon. Admiral beat is good. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Even in the heat of the moment, missing the ice block, it's not about, oh, we didn't know that she had ice block. You swing on the Mei anyway. If you have the Rein and the Mei equally on top of each other, you always prioritize Mei. Always prioritize Mei unless the Reinhardt's 1 HP. So it's not so much like, oh, they probably missed the ice block. It doesn't matter. You still focus Mei and you need to force the ice block. Yeah. So not great. Okay, so this fight again, pretty simple. Just take an angle. If you're Vancouver, try to just like sell your Rein. For London, it's pretty easy. Trying to not die to Aspire on an angle, and line up your Mei wall Rein pen and set up your Blizzard. It's that simple. Can you swing on the Mei with the threat of Hottie Shatter though? You can. Yeah, you can. And how you do that? Let's actually be very specific about how we do that. So it's a good shout that's probably why Punk was being hesitant, but here's how you do that. First off, he needs to just take a swing. He needs to, even if there's a risk of his backline getting shattered, he can't block the shatter from his positioning anyway, so he can't worry about his own backline. The number one thing, though, that's the problem here is it's actually Faith. Faith, this is on Faith. So right here, Faith should not be on the floor. Faith needs to be on the wall, booping Backbone in, so that it's easier for Punk to actually shoot. Sugar Free is doing the right thing here. He gets the wall and immediately... Well, yeah, that's not great. But yeah, the Faith, this is not good from all of Vancouver core actually here. You had a boop here. You had a boop here. Yeah, true, Nonlin. What's the difference between playstyle between the Hanzo and the Sojourn here? Sojourn just can take more aggressive angles with her shift later on. She just charges rail. I just think the Hanzo's better. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. I just think the Hanzo's better. Hey, Cat. But Sparker can just try and farm rail, and when your Sojourn has rail, she's generally one of the better 1v1 heroes in the game. And then you could play around that by playing timing pushes around your Sojourn rail. London haven't done that. You also can take vertical positions, like just as I say that, right? But Hanzo can do that too. It's harder to pressure out a Sojourn. My problem is that I don't think in this comp it's very easy to pressure out any DPS because you don't have a diva or a mobile hero like a Tracer to zone them. So I don't see the advantage of Sojourn Slide really being a big deal, to be honest with you guys. I don't like the Sojourn that much, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Posture check, thank you. Ah. So just set up our Blizzard, bait on Punk, and probably just kill Punk because the way that they're like this is a pretty decent setup from Vancouver. You're not going to get a Blizzard on anybody other than Rein with the setup. So there's the counter pen. Here comes the Blizzard. The problem here is that Hadi actually misses the pin, so we don't actually get the knockdown, which we need to secure the CC. I don't know how or why that happens. I think he hits the Mei wall in accident, but Punk isn't able to get out in time anyway, and so he's dead regardless. That being said, it does allow Punk to move his position slightly easier, and there's what we saw, right? The lamp into the Mei wall. If you could cycle those two, like Mei wall first or then lamp and so on. How is Faith frozen? I'm sorry. What? And you could also do things like boop the Mei as well. He tries to amp speed and he just gets frozen. Yeah, this is not good play for him. I mean, Punk's probably gonna die, but yeah. Okay, so this is the other thing as well. I think if they get the Mei wall and set up like this, I really do think that Punk is just dead. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. So I would like Faith and Aspire probably playing more aggressively along the rim here and trying to trade backlines more than anything. You have a massive positional advantage with your backline, so I think like playing more aggressively on these angles is probably the play, rather than trying to amp speed your Rein, who's definitely getting frozen, and then also losing it. And then Aspire backs off, but I want Aspire walking forward here with Lucio pocket, right? Yeah, I don't know. Not very well played by Vancouver. It's just too easy for London there. Like, that's just too easy. Even though they don't even execute it perfectly, it's just too easy. All right. Now we just wall point. Easy cap. Crimzo on the flank. London falls asleep at the wheel. But it's not going to matter because they have a Rein and spawn. Oh, no way! This guy's a Chad. Space, this is actually winnable. Aw, huge play by Hadi. Honestly, that was really close. That's actually such a nice play by Crimzo. If Punk doesn't get counter pinned here, if he's able to dodge pin, I actually think Vancouver wins this. He doesn't have pin because he used to get out of spawn, but I actually think Vancouver wins this, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. That's crazy. Again, it just feels a little bit like mechanics, you know? It doesn't really feel like London's necessarily really dominating the macro game here. Is that Crimzo or Shu? It's Crimzo. Alright. Now this Hanzo's 100% better. Free high ground mobility. Aspire isn't like blowing people's heads off the whole time. Do I know Ascot Spilo? I know Ascot a little bit. I've spoken with him several times before. He was in Boston when I worked with Uprising, but way back in the day. And from my impression of Ascot, I think he gave me the impression of being a very well-spoken, smart guy, but I don't know him well. Oh, I'm an idiot. No, I mean, Nodlin, honestly, I didn't even know that was you. If I'd known it was you, I would have ignored you. So I want Aspire to go back up top, probably with Lucio, maybe? Well, maybe not with Lucio, because we're going to set up our Mei wall. Yeah, I mean, same thing here. Let's, now, you're going to notice something here. Look at how Backbone is playing. So Hadi actually is pretty hard to kill here, because he's around a corner. And as long as Backbone is able to get the counter wall across here, the Blizzard will be probably hard to, yeah, this is not good. This is not good from Vancouver. This is too greedy. This is too greedy. There's a counter Mei wall. Even if Hadi dies here, yeah, this is too greedy. Gosh, guys. Angles, map, angles. You had the advantage on this corner here. You do not need to force it. Sun Tzu. When you are strong, you do not appear strong, right? It's hard to ignore you if I had... Nope. This is forced. And big credit to Backbone. This angle is like... This is juicy. This is really juicy. This is pushing too far, right? Pushing too far. Look how far we're lagging behind in this Blizzard play. There's no reason for them to rush this. You can wait, take your angle, force Hadi to walk around the corner, then wall from there. Or if Hadi doesn't walk around the corner, we shoot at Backbone, we force him out, we go from there. I mean, obviously Sugar Free doesn't get his ice block off, which is a bit of a mistake because he's expecting the freeze, so he doesn't have to use ice block, so it's a little bit of a greed. But honestly, the mistake here is that, like, look at London's positions here and look at Vancouver's positions. Look at this crossfire. It's the same thing as first point, guys. Vancouver has an advantage. They want to rush it. They rush it in a bad way. They lose the fight. And Backbone's still here. And there you go. What should have been a very clean, pretty easy team fight win is not only messy, but actually lost if you consider respawns here. Nah. No way this works. Oh! Let's check it, chat. get rolled. What a mess. What a mess. I don't like this window either. Maybe it was a little bit of panic with the Spire still being alive. It's not a bad window. It's a really nice wall by Sugar Free, by the way, just on the other side of the window. But I don't think it was necessary. But honestly, it's not the end of the world. Nah! Hanzo! This is very chaotic. But yeah, London is going to be fairly happy with that trade. Probably should have disengaged. Gosh, I really hate the Sojourn. Like, I cannot state enough how much I disdain the Sojourn. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It gives me an ulcer every time I watch the Sojourn play. But surely we're just stress testing this, because I think it's totally fine to stress test. There is logic behind it, but I just don't like it. All right, so let's see. They're probably testing. They're probably testing the Sojourn. That's why they're running it. That doesn't mean I can't say I can dislike it. There's the shot. Hottie isn't able to get close enough to force the pin, so we probably don't see Mail here. We might, but it'll be a risk. Because Punk will be able to juke it or pin out of it. We might see a Sojourn ult here. If you're Vancouver here, you might also back window, but hopefully Crimzo doesn't caught in Mail again, because Crimzo has... Oh, Crimzo... Okay, listen. We need to talk about Crimzo and his positioning around Mail now. Because if I'm Backbone here, I might just yeet my Mail over here, and it's gonna get somebody. Crimzo, I think, positions too far forward into Mail with his back window. I was not expecting a Mail so soon, but with this back window, we might see it now. Yeah, there it is. It's just not good. Like, it's just not good. They do get the... Oh, Hottie. What happens to Hottie? Oh, he goes hard. He goes hard. And they don't get the lamp off in time. But this Mail is going to be pretty darn fat. Yeah. I don't... This is just really not great play, y'all. It's fine. Yeah. They try to set tempo, which is like such an NA thing to do. But, yeah. Not great. This lamp went under the map? No way. Really? Wait, which lamp? Ah! The shatter is actually what saves Crimson from getting frozen, I think. But yeah, anyway. There's a lot of good Hanzos in the league, y'all. Sparker's a really good Hanzo. There's so many good Hanzos in the league. There aren't many hit skins that don't have a good Hanzo. Off the top of my head, anyway. But it's been a while. Backbone Hanzo back in the day was disgusting. This is just ego. They probably beat Rush onto Bap here with a Maywall. And then here comes the beat, surely? No? They don't even need it. Okay. Beat now? Yep. Yeah. So I think better planning, I think as a whole, from London. Their macro wasn't particularly good, but just better mechanics in terms of like the playing, like things like the Reinhardt, the May, the Lucio. I think just better play from them as a whole. And I think their ult planning was a little bit better, even if it wasn't super clean. But honestly, not super happy with the execution on either side, to be honest with you guys. Very early in the season, but yeah, not great. Next code. Any questions, by the way, so far? We kind of breezed over some points here, but it's because I didn't want to repeat myself in the same stuff. But yeah. Okay, Hollywood. Wow, weird to see Hollywood. I have not seen or coached Hollywood in like 5 months. It has been ages. Okay, so we're gonna see some Babson. So I didn't really watch the leaked VOD too much. I kind of wanted to save a surprise. So I haven't seen really much of this at all. But this is going to be really, really fun because we're going to be able to like talk about a composition and a compositional matchup and a map that we've never gone over. Who do you try and pressure with Flame Strike here? Definitely try and go for Rein, like May or Bap usually. Yeah. Okay. So, do they stick with us? Do they stick with us? Do they stick? They go Brig. Why do they go Brig? They go Sombra. That's why they go Brig. And they stay Brig Zen. They go Junker Queen. Oh, this is going to be so much fun, guys. I'm frothing at the mouth here, y'all. Yeah. Okay. Chat. How does London win? How does London win versus this? Let's actually skip till we see the comps they play. They do play the Sojourn Tracer Ball. Okay. How do London beat a dive comp with a Bap Zen backline? How do you do it? You tell me. What are some things that they have to consider? Now, you guys saw my Atlanta Reign versus San Francisco Shock, which was a not the same matchup, but similar in idea. And so you guys already should have a little bit of an idea about how this matchup should go. The fundamentals of Overwatch don't change. The way they're interpreted depends on the hero that you're playing. So this is definitely flexing the Lethal and Skairipa backline, which is super cool. That's something that we didn't really have the ability to do last year. So it's awesome that this is actually a possibility for London this year. Obviously, when they got Con, that was a possibility as well. But obviously, it wasn't as necessary as it was. So maybe if this is like a legitimate like comp that we can play. And the other really nice thing about Landon is what I would call a true flex when it comes to support, because he can play Lucio. It's probably his weakest hero, I guess, nowadays, along with Mercy. But he actually has quite a good break as well. So take angles, don't die. Well, yeah, okay. Poke out early, take angles, Hottie disrupt, Tracer follow up with Zen, Bap Sojourn. Right. So it's all about the range of the composition that you're playing. So you guys are obviously at a significant advantage when it comes to range. But how do we abuse our range when we're stuck in a choke? And so this is what you do with sequentially taking space. So let me actually draw this up how this will probably look, okay? So essentially what we have here is we have high damage range heroes right here, okay? 1, 2, 3, right? And so what we want to try and do is we want to give these heroes sightlines, okay? If this hero gets a sightline on the enemy Reaper or Sojourn or Tracer or Kiriko or Lucio or Winston, whatever, then they're going to force cooldowns and burn HP so that when they dive, they die instantly. Or maybe they don't even dive at all. Like if I could force Winston bubble, then that hero cannot dive anymore, and so on. So then how do we do that? If we're to get an angle on these guys, I have to walk into a choke where it's very easy for them to dive on us immediately. Well, that's where you leverage the beautiful marriage of mobility and spam, where a hero like Zen is really good at pocketing people like a Tracer, like a Sojourn, like a Ball, to play hyper aggressive early to force the cooldowns that these guys can't with spam. So what I mean by that is you would have your Bap Zen probably playing together at the start, pocketing our Ball, Tracer, and Sojourn to feed. Whether that's your Sojourn, literally your Sojourn slides up here with double pocket, right? A little bit of a feed, but maybe she can drop and get healed, right? And if they don't dive the Sojourn, she, with pocket, burns these guys out, then they have to back up. And when they back up, this gives space for her backline to walk forward. Or you pocket your Tracer, who has the advantage in any duel that she takes because she has Harmony Orb. maybe we take a very passive sightline. Maybe we get a Discord on Monkey, and then we put our Tracer Sojourn just even in main, taking an aggressive angle. Maybe our ball tries to slam them before they even dive, so that it disrupts. We put out. If we get a lot of damage and a lot of pressure on these guys using our range, using our mobility, using our angles, then it's going to be very difficult for them to dive in. Now, how Vancouver can play around this is to try and be super, super disciplined with cover and never, ever, ever peek unless we're going in. Now, that's hard to do because you need a little bit of scouting to know when to go. But that has to be the challenge. Is Lethal like the Tracer guy in this team? I'm not sure. Lethal... without Shax, probably. Yeah. Probably. Lethal's a solid team. Lethal's clearly on London, so or trialing for London. I'm, you know, whatever, guys. Like, we don't have to sit here and play patty cake with it, okay? Anyway, but yeah, long story short, we want these guys playing aggressively, so that then these guys can play aggressively, and then as soon as these guys can play aggressively, the match is over. Because as soon as these guys get space to play aggressively, these guys are going to take such ungodly amounts of damage that the fight is over. So you have to be a little bit sequential with it. You have to be patient with it. You can't just have your Baps in to play aggressively and then get run over immediately. But you can earn it. And then the key thing is that these guys don't take any damage early on in the phase if they want to win. So let's watch how they do it. Let's watch how they do it. The Sojourn is picked because the Sojourn is a hero that has good mid-range DPS, but always has an escape cooldown. If you play this composition with Hanzo, Hanzo would not be able to take an angle without being immediately dove. Sojourn can, because she can just shift out. You could also probably see, like if you had like Speedily, you would probably play this with an Echo Tracer, because Echo has a shift cooldown that allows her to play aggressive spam angles without getting poked out. Those are the main two that I think would be good here. I don't see anything else here. I think Sojourn, Echo are probably your best two for this role of early poke, early pressure. There's the aggressive. We want Ball and Tracer egoing with Baps in pocket. So there's the Discord. Yeah, it looks like they actually try and time that. Do they actually try and time that with the Discord? Is that a peak with Discord, or am I smoking something? So this is definitely ego, but it catches them off by surprise. There it is. There's like a burst window, bam. And you notice that they're immediately S-king, right? Oh, careful. And you see the Sparker angle, right? A little bit of ego, but I promise you Sparker didn't have to use shift. Nope, didn't have to use shift. And then now it's over. Now, even without the Winston kill, Winston probably has to jump out at that point or use bubble. And then now our Bapson can ego, so the fight should be won. That was good. That was a nice little set play there. A little bit of the ego. Now, the key thing here is we want Skairipa, like egoing a little bit with Tracer. If we can get our Tracer on the Discord to target as much as we possibly can, permanently Harmony Orb, and just permanently poking, especially with the new Tracer damage, that she has a little bit more damage than she did last season, it's a big deal. And Hottie is really good at either slamming dives, but actually Hottie is generally better at slamming dives early and forcing cooldowns right as they want to dive. Like the best time for Ball to go in is right as they're about to dive, before they dive. It really messes them up. So I like the Sojourn swap off of the Reaper. I don't think Reaper is very good versus this comp. I think he struggles to reach the Bap Zen. You need something a little bit faster. The Tracer is better. Now, if London plays as smart, they'll have Lethal try and mark Sugarfree whenever he doesn't have a good angle on Punk to prevent, because if Sugarfree can't dive because Lethal's marking him with Discord and it's only Punk diving, Babson can handle a monkey pretty easily as long as he's not primaled. Now my question here is, if Vancouver get a good opportunity to dive, is it good with Kiriko to TP into the dive and try to follow up with damage on the Bapson with Suzu? I think the answer is probably yes. I think the answer is probably yes is why teams were not playing Zenyatta or even Bap Rein comps anymore at the end of last season, but that was old Kiriko, so I'm not sure. Now, this is going to be a little bit tough, because once again, we're stuck in a choke where Bapson do not have Silence, which means if they don't have Silence, it's very easy for Vancouver to stage clean dives. So again, we want ego from Sparker, we want ego from Lethal. We want Sparker to be dove. Sparker is our dive hero of choice, or dying hero of choice, because he could easily shift out and get double pocket. Zen is... Do you notice even how our backline is split here too? This is really good. Because as long as Landon has something of a sightline here, SCRIMS, we're totally fine here. And you notice that Sky still has a sightline, still has a pocket angle. And if they dive Landon, SCRIMS is free. If they dive SCRIMS, Landon is free. I don't think we needed to stack here. I think Landon is probably scared of the inside rotation where they would have rotated and jumped on top of him. So I understand what he did, but it is a little bit unfortunate that happens. Sparker gets poked out. Now SCRIMS is building trance really fast. This is really good. So what we might see here again is a peak for Discord and then trying to synchronize a soft dive to force resources off of the Discord. So let's see what SCRIMS does. I'm curious more about SCRIMS' POV. No Discord, but he's getting spam damage. There's the Discord. Now we see the pressure from Ball, Tracer, early and often. This is complete feeding from Sparker, but what are they going to do about it, right? Why BAP and not Kiriko Ana? Two reasons why. One, it's probably a hero strength thing, where Landon is really comfortable on BAP. That's a strength of his over Kiriko and Ana, so why not BAP, right? And it could also be that they feel that the lamp change has given BAP more strength in areas where he was weak. That would be my guess. I would say it's probably the former and not as much the latter. I don't think a 15% increase in lamp HP is enough to justify it. So it's probably more of a hero thing. The other thing about BAP as well as compared to an Ana, for example, is the verticality of this map encourages BAP shift usage. Like having shift on second point especially is like so nice to shift for missing your charged boots, whereas an Ana would have a really, really, really hard time. Is the bone back Zen Aragon? Yeah, probably. Yeah. There's Sparker, there's the shift, and this is what we talked about, guys. This is what we talked about. Right there. That's it, right there. This is what we're supposed to do. You get Sparker on an angle. Look at what Sparker does before the dive even happens. Look at what Sparker, Lethal, and Hottie do. There's Suzu. Punk is out of armor. Faith is low. Double pocket. And Lucio gets left behind because Ball Tracer are hunting. And even if Lucio doesn't get left behind, look at the resources that are used here. Now, what should London do now? What should London do now? Fundamentals of Overwatch, right? Tempo, right? Tempo. They've hit their cycle. The power cycle of Vancouver is over. So what must London do right now? Run it down mid, right? Well, not exactly, but yeah. We need to push. We need to push. We are very strong right now. So as long as we can keep SCRIMS up and Sparker up, we're good to go. A little bit unfortunate. And this is where we want our support split, but within LOS of each other. So I think this is a little bit unfortunate. This is a good rotation from Vancouver, but it's a little bit unfortunate. That being said, this fight should still be lost for Vancouver. They've lost too many resources and too much HP. And look at the space. Do you see the space that London has right now? As long as London can keep the pressure up and often, it should be over. This should be over. Should be. Surely, chat. Landon gets a little bit egotistical. Does he have a shift? He does. And we're good to go. Yeah. So, nice. Honestly, so far, we have seen, ironically, better spam execution than we've seen better Reinhardt mirror execution. I swear our Reinhardt mirrors, I remember leaving last season, our Reinhardt mirrors were just cursed. We used to get stomped by Houston Outlaws sometimes in Reinhardt mirrors and scrims. Whenever we've scrimmed Reinhardt mirrors, we always underperformed. Not always, but yeah, this is pretty good so far. This is pretty good. Okay, so this is the Sombra swap. So the Sombra swap does the exact same thing, but the Sombra is a lot harder to mark and is easier to stage in your backline. So remember, to have a successful dive, you need a crossfire or an angle or a cut. The Tracer is going to get hard marked if London is playing well. Okay. However, you can't really mark a Sombra consistently, even with a ball. She can maybe hunt her Translocator, which will help, but it's very hard to do that. So the Sombra can kind of cheat and just stage backline. So this is probably why we see Landon go Brig. It makes total sense, right? Because like the same rule applies, but BAP is just a little too fragile, and Brig is probably a little better at peeling off the flankers than BAP is. I think the thing with BAP is that if you get hacked, you die before. If they set up a good dive, you die before you can probably even get off lamp. Early and often, right, y'all? Early and often. Can we get early pressure? They can't. Oh, tragic. They do get Suzu out, though. That's big. Early and often. Oh, nice boot from Hottie. Nice boot from Hottie. Playing to their timing, playing to their strengths, right? The BAP window, early and often. Can we force cooldowns when they want to dive? And there it is, right there. Huge. Huge, guys. I cannot understate how important that is. It's an ultimate, yes, but they force Suzu and they force bubble. And now look what they're going to do. Do you see this? I love this, guys. This is great. This is really smart. Look at the map control from here. This is better than the Reinhardt stuff right here. Look at the angles that they have here. Lethal here, Hottie here. They force bubble and Suzu. They know they don't have beat. SCRIMS has trance. So SCRIMS goes, they've got no bubble. They've got no Suzu. Time to go to work. This is great. This is really good, guys. This should be if assuming nothing mechanical happens, this should be a fight win. Oh no! Is this abusing the ping? This shouldn't happen. We shouldn't have Lethal die 2v1 to hack. Nah, it's just mechanics. That's just a stupid thing. He brain off. You know, he loses like 2/3 of his HP before anything even happens here. This should still be a fight. I don't know. Maybe not a fight win here, but this is still very winnable. Nice lamp. They're all low. Ah, disaster, guys. They do force beat, though. That's tragic, y'all. This was like really, really clean execution from London backline and from London core. Lethal needs to kind of wake up here. I will say one other thing. There's a little bit of unfortunate timing with the drop here, where Sparker is a tad late, if I'm being nitpicky, but it's really not that big of a deal. And because Lethal isn't here, they don't quite kill Punk. Maybe it's also mechanics as well. Like, I feel like, come on now, Sky, hit the kill here. Like you have a massive advantage here. Yeah, we missed too many shots there. Punk needs to die, and honestly, the trance was too soon. This is good macro, poor micro. Let's put it that way. Whereas the brawl mirror was, I think, the opposite. Yeah, probably too soon there. That if Winston dies it, I think this fight's won. Or if Lethal's alive, I think this fight's won. Hottie's gonna commit mines, but I think it's probably a little too late because now they've been able to sustain, and now we talk about tempo, right? Not only is Lethal down here, but Punk has his bubble back, and we probably have Suzu as well. Yeah, so there's the bubble, and there's the Suzu, and they're on top of our backline. This should probably be a fight loss for London. That's tragic. Yeah, not a good ult by Sparker, I don't think. Is all that makes sense, guys? This is a little bit advanced. I can go crazy and paint for 2 minutes if I need to explain what I'm trying to say a little bit. Landon's just pushing card. He knows he's dead, but he's just gonna get. That was a good card push. Hey, Square. Is Sojourn the best pick here? Probably, yeah. Probably. The swap, I don't know how strong Cassidy is. I don't have enough reps with Cassidy and Scrims. Cassidy seems fine. Historically, Sojourn would have been the better swap because she can take an aggressive position and then shift out. But maybe with Hack, actually that just gets denied anyway. And maybe the cast fall off change is made it it's where it's not that big of a deal. So I think Cass is probably fine as well. This is where we have to get into the micro where I just don't have enough reps to really know the answer to that, y'all. Because like I said, if the Sojourn takes an aggressive angle versus the Sombra comp, does that mean that she just gets hacked out before she can even shift and dies? So then there's no point having a mobility cooldown when we get hacked out of it. You know what I'm saying? You can't, yeah, and true, the E is better versus the flankers. You can force out Translocator just like that. So, yeah, probably this is probably the correct swap. The Sojourn probably better versus the Reaper variant. Maybe the Cassie better versus the Winston, versus the Sombra. So I don't know. Now, there's the brick swap. That being said, the quote-unquote win cons, as much as I hate that term, don't really change. Early pressure, often pressure, take angles, try to bait a dive, try and force as many resources early as you possibly can. The problem now is because we got the high ground, and this is a classic, like, I won't say escort. You know what? Yeah, escort problem. It's like Junkertown second. It's like Eichenwald second. It's like Hollywood second. It's like Circuit Royale second. Where if you don't win the fight on late second or mid second, you have like look at the entire enemy team has all the map and you have no sight lines. Like what is Sparker supposed to do? What is Sky supposed to do? So what I would say here is, unfortunately, you have to try and take an angle to force them out, to put out some early pressure. But what you probably want to do is try and find an angle on cart. Can we leverage and force cart and get a discord on cart? So you're not going to be able to take high ground. Win condition, I just think it's like, I don't know. I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit termist to like old win like kill box. It doesn't really describe things super well. But anyway, yeah, like long story short, like we need to try and see if we can get an angle on cart to force cart, but I don't think we're going to be able to take high ground. I don't know. So really this is going to be up to Lethal to try and land a big pulse, or can we get a discord and harmony pocket on cart? I don't know where you would. Where would we go, chat? Probably have Sparker swing wide and try and get some poke and bait the dive, and then double pocket with Harmony and Armor Pack out. At the same time, Lethal forces cart while Hottie is trying to disrupt high ground. That's probably the best neutral that you could have here. If you're Vancouver, you probably have both your Sombra and Tracer hunting on cart if Lethal gets too aggressive, or you have your Tracer dealing with cart mirror while your Kiriko is pocketing, and your Sombra just sits here to punish Hottie for going aggressively. And then we do not peek the cast in at all unless we're setting up a hard dive on them. But we don't set up a hard dive unless we have a good angle. We have a lot of good ults. This should be hard for Vancouver to double force cart with ball Tracer, then ball goes high. That could work. Yeah, that could work as well. The problem is I'm not confident that you win the cart trade when their Kiriko can see cart and your Zen cast cannot. It's a little bit easier at certain points in Eichenwald where you can see cart from a really safe position, but do you see how backline it can't really see cart from here? They'd have to walk forward to where they could get dove. So this is quite the quandary, and this is why winning this fight here and dying to such a stupid little thing like Lethal just messing up or Skairipa trancing too early and so on, that really hurts. That really hurts. We cannot lose it. Right. Oh, Overwatch. I don't like Aspire's positioning. I don't know what Aspire is doing. I don't know what Aspire is doing at all. I think he's staging a dive for Cassidy, maybe? Or no, he's trying to... Oh, that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. Well, okay. Yeah. Now we can force cart. And now do you see again the Cassidy? I will say this: Sparker walking forward aggressively while Brig Zen are double pocketing from an off angle. Who do you dive now? Who do you dive? You know, one or the other is free. So that was pretty well set up. It's making the best of a bad situation. Oh dear. Land and bash. Nice. They survive. Oh, really Vancouver really craps the bed with this one, y'all. Vancouver really craps the bed with this one. So even though they're down one, Hottie's low. We need to go. Like, we need to go. Like, this Brig needs to die. Now. Crimzo, like, we have to go. We have to get on these guys now. It just feels like we're desyncing our aggression one after the other. They do get the kill on Sky, but Cart's still going. And now we've given up high ground, but we haven't really committed. Not a good fight from Vancouver. Not a good fight from Vancouver. A lot of cart push for essentially free. I think London probably could have kited that one a little bit better. What could London have done to possibly win that fight? But as London, you're really not happy, or not unhappy, excuse me, with this fight at all. I think maybe Hottie trolled a little here. So this is fine. As soon as he's grappled, he probably just needs to leave. That slam is a little bit greedy, and then he ends up kiting this direction into them instead of kiting away from them and towards his team. So that loses him a lot of HP, which means he literally is a non-factor this fight, which would have helped more. And then if I look at backline here, yeah, this is a mistake. We should have continued to rotate out this direction towards open space. So he tucks in towards here, but he doesn't gain any cover from there, and then he ends up dying to Tracer and Pulse Bomb. Pulse Bomb, I was saying Primal. So yeah, could have been played by better by both teams, but London's going to be happier with that result. Yeah, let's keep going. So now, with the lack of primal, things are going to be a little bit easier. And with how late cart is, do you see how Vancouver has had to shift their positioning? This is massive. This is why cart's so important. Because if cart is here and Vancouver is here, they send ball tracer to cart, and tracer Sombra lose the duel theoretically because the Kiriko is over here. So Kiriko goes like, guys, we have to back up. I have to heal cart. So when Kiriko backs up, what do? Do we leave our monkey by himself over here? No, because a monkey by himself is going to get run over. So monkey has to back up. And you see how all of Vancouver, because of cart, has had to shift around cart because the ball tracer will push pressure cart. And by shifting back, this now opens up London the opportunity to actually take high ground. Now they have to be careful about EMP here, but they can actually rotate and take elevator now because of cart push. This is why escort is such a complicated game mode, because the very similar to like push, the game mode mechanics heavily sway the macro and how team fights are played. You don't just win team fights with escort. It's a lot more complicated than that. Winston is better if he can get on top of your squishies than ball without taking a lot of damage. And when you are running with a Lucio and you have guaranteed high ground, I think Winston is probably totally fine. It's a lot harder to deal with a Winston with bubble as like a Brig or a Brig Zen than it is to deal with a ball, unless the Winston cannot stage because the map is wide open and there's not good high grounds. Then ball's better. So Aspire has a real hard problem here. Do we mirror cart and be out of position for EMP, or do we stage for EMP, in which case we can actually pressure and leverage cart because our tracer is by herself on cart. So Hadi is going to clear high. They're spy checking. They're worried about EMP. Excuse me. Still looking for Sombra. They might be looking for locator here, actually. Yeah, they're definitely looking for locator. Where's locator? Locator's over here. Ah, they got it, chat. This is so smart. This is really good. Really nice play from London. I'm telling you, London is playing honestly pretty well. Outside of some of the mechanical things, London, in terms of the macro, they understand this matchup, I think, pretty well, which is pretty cool to see. This is great. You don't want to meet them toe-to-toe, right, guys? We don't get enough spam early. They have EMP. We can't meet them toe-to-toe. So what do? We play like rats. Right? It's the same thing in the Brawl mirror. If you don't have a Blizzard advantage, you don't play them toe-to-toe. You play like rats. You play for angles. You play for duels, right? And this is exactly what's happening. Hadi's like, we can't just take top, right? We need to go hunt that Sombra. We need to make that Sombra have a hard time. We need to pressure point, right? It's really smart. And so they wrap around. They're looking for Sombra. They find the translocator. Now we push. Aspire goes, oh crap. Has to play his life now. No way he goes for it. Well, he even sprays. But this really, really throws Vancouver for a loop, who actually drop. Why do they drop? I don't know why core drops here. Is it because Hadi boops? Why does Crimzo drop? I think we're looking for Tracer. I don't know why we're so scared here. Maybe we're trying to dodge boop, but that's a big deal. Because now London can just take top. Hey, Pixels, thanks so much for the kind words, mate. Yeah, of course. I mean, I really do enjoy this. I'm very grateful that these codes were leaked, just because it makes for some interesting conversation. Hadi does a great job hitting them often and early. I think I would like to see London try to take high ground now. Now, guys, I'm putting a little bit of unreasonable expectations on London. Like you have to understand that we're watching this not even at 0.25 speed. We're watching this at 0.01 speed. You know what I'm saying? So these decisions in the heat of the moment are really, 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 really hard to make. So I think we have to be like careful about like, oh, why aren't they doing the Vancouver? Well, they suck. What are they doing here? It's a lot to expect, right? So yeah, let's keep going. So Brig Zen, maybe they don't even go top. Maybe they just get, I mean, this is what we talked about, right? Either we clear high ground or we play really slow and just focus cart, because cart is an angle that we can control with Discord if we have a sightline. And chat, look at the sightline. Brilliant. Really, really, really hard for anybody to touch cart and without them getting cooldowns forced. All right. I think I still might have liked high ground, but no. Okay, let's actually think about this. Why is London not clearing high ground here? This is I'm wrong here. I'm wrong. I think I like London's position better here. Why are we not taking high ground? What would happen if London just went high ground right now? What would happen? Remember, toe to toe, right? EMP dive, right? They would have angles, they would have good sightlines, but it would allow Vancouver to set up an easier EMP dive because Vancouver would retake top explosively. You might have like Punk diving from underneath, the Sombra would set up from behind, maybe even have a chucking translocator play. That's kind of old school, but like, you know, it would be very easy for Vancouver to quickly set up a dive and just run them over. So I do think what London is doing is trying to create a little bit more space with their setup. It checks out. I think it's the right play here and play for cart. Now, if they had trance, probably they would go top. So now all London needs to do is somehow get Lethal on cart. Lethal needs to get to cart. If Lethal can get to cart safely, London will probably win this fight because they can just get Lethal on cart and pocket him. Now Sparker goes to cart. Sparker has said, oh, you know, they're slowly walking forward. Oh, this is ego. This is ego. This is ego. This is a little bit of ego here. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. But if they don't, like, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. This is why the Winston comp is so hard. Because I say this is ego, this is ego, this is ego, but if they don't dive them right now, and like if they don't dive them right now, they're gonna start doing damage. And once they start doing damage, you're gonna start burning cooldowns, and you're gonna use your Suzu and your bubble and your locator and your amp and your blinks. Like, where's Aspire? Aspire's gotta go. Aspire's gotta go. Oh, I didn't even see this. This is why London walks. This guy is just straight up wall hacking. Bro, did Aspire use a voice line?
Just in case.
Oh, he threw the locator too far out in the open. He threw the locator instead of behind a wall, so Sky hears him throw the locator and starts spamming. And hits him. Holy crap, y'all. No way. This is it. That's it. He heard the locator spam. He heard the locator drop, so he starts spamming. He hits Sombra. He headshots Sombra. Holy crap. No, bro, it's not even a lottery ticket. That's just a straight up good play. Locator's out. Now watch London's response. No EMP threat. Sombra's out. Walk. And that's exactly what they do. Tempo comp, right? Not just monkey bubble, also Sombra positioning. When they don't have those two things, especially when the EMP is the only thing you're scared of, you ego. And that's exactly what they did. It's the same logic of why they dropped off of high ground, but hopefully this time we actually perform mechanically. Get a little bit of early damage. Now we got to start getting concerned because now the Sombras had time to reposition, and yes, this is exactly what happened. We don't... Okay, I will give credit to Vancouver. Look at the discipline Punk has here. He does not peek. He does not peek. We do not peek. We do not peek. We do not... Yuck! Just a little bit of peeking. A little bit of peeking. He's lost his armor. He's lost his armor. Oh man, this is scary, chat. I don't know what's gonna happen. I think Vancouver gets this. I think they get this. Skairipa anyway should be one shot. Yeah. And there's the Kiriko difference, right? Diving with it. Yeah. Ah, so close, so close. I do think that the aggression from London was probably a little bit greedy. So what I probably would have done better is, okay, we've now earned the right to walk to this corner. I probably would have taken this corner, maybe pocketed Sparker aggressively. Definitely get Lethal on card if we can possibly do that. But probably still need to play safe, at least until we have Rally or Trance. If we have Rally or Trance and if we can continue to poke them out, then maybe we can pre-rally and then this maybe works. Why is he discording Monkey most of the time? No. Because remember, how do London win? London wins through early pressure to force cooldowns, to force resources, to burn the enemy team. If we see a Tracer and we can win the Tracer duel, sure, but Sugar Free isn't peaking. You see this? Sugar Free isn't discordable. If you could discord a monkey and force 50, 150, 200, or even a bubble earlier, it's really, really high value. Now, that doesn't mean that he would not discord Tracer. If he could discord Tracer and get lethal on Tracer, that would probably be even better than discording Monkey, because you could force a recall really fast. And then it's just the Monkey diving. But as you guys can see, I mean, maybe he's making a mistake. Surely. Okay. But you see, there's really nothing else he can shoot here, right? Kiriko, Lucio aren't what really kill people. It's Monkey, Sombra, Tracer. And if we could survive the Monkey, Sombra, Tracer, or force this Monkey, Sombra, Tracer, then it's good value. Would rotating inside the building be better to avoid an EMP? Inside here, yeah, it's tricky though. I think playing with Ego here and pocketing Sparker would have been better than what we did here. I think we got too aggressive and we ended up in no man's land. This is not where we want to be. Yeah. That being said, no EMP, no primal. We should be able to brute force high ground. Again, the cart is here, so we should be able to rotate high ground. Probably pre-rally, look for high noon pulse, mines, whatever. We should win this fight. Even with Beat and Kiriko, I think Brig Zen support roles are better. At least in this matchup. I'm being trolled in chat. Gonna put some pressure on Monkey. We don't get the pressure. Tracer's forcing cart. Lethal has to be really careful. There's the Suzu. Some nice shots from Skairipa across the map. There's the Suzu. They actually don't even go high ground. They just go straight to cart, which is whatever. I do think high ground would have made more sense, but maybe they feel like the angle on card is too hard from high ground. We did see that earlier. The pre-rally, there's the mines. Keep them on the back foot. Like if they hit them hard enough and Vancouver don't kite this well, there might not even be a fight here. It might just be over. There it is. We isolate the Lucio and he's dead. Kiriko ult doesn't matter. We don't even care. We hit them early, we hit them often. It doesn't even matter. Do you notice that it felt like Vancouver was on the back foot? They peaked too early. They got too sloppy with their peaks. Crimzo took too much damage. They did not kite. Yeah, that's just straight up W key. All right, now the Queen. Listen to me, guys. Nothing changes with the Queen versus the Ball. The playstyle is the exact same. The way it's executed will be a little bit different. Whereas your Queen will probably not split as hard as a Ball would. But we're really not even necessarily playing Shout. I don't know if Queen is the best tank here. I feel like, what would be a better tank? I don't know if there's a better tank. Diva is not a hero strength and might get bullied by a Sombra hack and just losing a lot of HP with a Brig Zen. But anyway, basically long story short, you're probably not going to necessarily have your Junker Queen stacking with your Brig Zen. You might, depending on the point, but you don't necessarily need to do that. What Junker Queen does is exactly what Ball does. She takes a little bit of an aggressive position. She shoots, tries to put out early pressure, tries to disrupt, pull people out in the open with knives so people can shoot them. And then if you push her, she shouts. She's very hard to kill, right? Because of that mobility, because of that defensive cooldown. It's a weird pick, but there is a lot fewer options with Ball here. I don't know. I could see it. I mean, we're trying things, guys, right? We're trying things. But yeah, I would be shocked if Queen sat with Brig Zen all the time. Especially now that we have Trance, our Brig Zen shouldn't need help. Early and often. Are they gonna... So here, okay, so what should Vancouver do, guys? Doom? Yeah, Doom could work. Doom would be tougher into the Sombra, but Doom could work, yeah. But Dahadi is not a good Doom. So what should Vancouver do right now? Look at the battlefield. What should they do? How do they win this fight? You got Primal, you have Beat. You should be able to run them over toe to toe. Even with Trance, you should be able to run them over. Force Beat. Well, I'm saying, what should Vancouver do? Look at Hadi's positioning. Do you see it? to me, even though you could theoretically get Discord and cart, if they play cover really, really well, I don't think London can push cart anymore. I also feel like Hottie could die here. You could either just sit here and cart and just wait, which isn't great when you have an old advantage, but it can work. We could hunt lethal 2v1 and bait London to walk forward and then run them over with superior old advantage. London can't really meet you toe-to-toe right now. Not with Bubble, not with Beat or Primal, right? So you could either hunt lethal, do nothing and sit on cart and burn time, or you could split Hottie with Bubble and melt. Exactly. That's probably the higher risk, higher reward play. But Hottie should not be allowed to touch cart when his Tracer's MIA and his backline is playing in Narnia. You cannot play split like this for free. It costs something. Now, will they be intelligent enough to deal with that? Now, for Hottie, you got to be super disciplined with your corner usage. You got to have probably both Harmony Orb and Armor packs. And then you have to be shouting immediately to disengage if you get pressed as soon as the hack disengages. So let's see. Let's see what we know what high level Overwatch should look like. Let's see if that is what we see. No, that's not what we see. A very lazy, half-hearted pressure from Aspire. Very, very, very lazy, and he does it with no commit from his team, and he also does it right in front of the Zen, Cass, and whatever. Now, maybe he's just going for the manual hack here. It doesn't matter. This isn't good. That's just poor. Playing in front of your Cass in, it's just not going to work. I mean, London set this one up well. They did, but you can't win. If in equally skilled teams, Vancouver will win this one just based off the ult situation. So, nice job. Now we can actually start to press W cautiously. Can we force Monkey Bubble? Be careful, lose cons. That's what Chris used to always say, lose cons, right? We can still lose this, right? They still have Primal, they still have Beat. So I would prefer if just Sparker and Hottie and maybe a little bit of Lethal tried to force Punk a little bit back. But yeah, this is, and there it is, right? So that's what we have to be careful about. There's the trance. We can still lose this. 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 Don't get isolated. Don't get split. Don't get isolated. Don't get split. Lose cons, guys. Lose cons. That I guarantee you, Chris is like lose cons, right? Yeah. This is silly, right? Like we're this close, guys. We're this close, right? We just need to focus on because here's the thing: is you can kill Punk or force Punk back without having everybody W keying forward. But does Shout go through Bubble? I don't think so. I don't know. It does. Landon gets it. Yeah, so it does. Great question. Because I don't know. I don't know all the micro interactions. But yeah, this is a huge troll from London. So all we needed to do is Hottie and Sparker to play very careful, walk forward, and then backline plays safely, pocketing them, and double pocket Sparker here. Beat should not have forced trance. Let's put it that way. Beat should not have forced trance. Or if it had forced trance, it should have been after, like now. And then that way we would have been able to keep Sparker up. Maybe they should have used Beat to sustain not to commit because you can match trance. Yeah, potentially. But I mean it works, right? They chained their ultimates well. 4v5, they lose the fight. Beat shouldn't go through Bubble, but it might have bugged. It shouldn't. I'll also say this as well. Lethal has been really quiet this match. He was hunting Summer Translocator. Nah, there's not a whole lot he can do here. But yeah, that's a misplay from London there. That being said, we will get good trades. It should have just been a much cleaner fight win. And ironically, it might have worked out because it was a little bit messy. It actually baits Vancouver to play aggressively. And so we might actually have some nice staggers here. So maybe, you know, all's well that ends well. Unfortunate miss from Lethal. Let me see this pulse spawn here. This needs to hit. We need to keep them on the back foot, especially if it's a monkey. Ah, come on, Lethal. You're better than that. Dennis Mad Dog is better than that. Another locator kill. That will probably be Aspire's death. It is. Haha, Aspire's getting bullied. Great rally from Landon. Just tempo and then it's whatever. So London, definitely a little bit sloppy with their aggression, a little bit sloppy with loose cons, but honestly, pretty decent macro. They just were better than Vancouver. They just knew the matchup better. They knew space. I won't say coach diff necessarily because it could be player intelligence too, but they just knew the matchup better. They played it better. And again, early season scrims, we can't really draw a whole lot from it, but very well played by London. Vancouver needed to be a better job with their discipline, with their cover usage, with their timing, with their ult planning as well, I think. But honestly, there's a lot of like little mechanical details as well. I think Aspire really just kind of got ruled. What team do you think is the favorite now this year or top dogs? Guys, let's put it this way. Which team has the best player, has the most powerful rosters? You blinked. How did the Titans lose that? Well, they got Sparker, but they were down. They were down immediately. A man. So then again, we talked about the Brig Zen. The Winston comp is very tempo oriented, where when their bubble is alive, they're very strong. When their bubble is not alive, they're not very strong, and they didn't disengage fast enough. So then London just cleaned up. Houston, Atlanta, Shock. Okay, so there's your favorites. There's your favorites. I mean, I'm not trying to be corny with you guys. I just spent last season with London, who obviously way overperformed expectations, but when it comes down to it, mechanics is as much of a factor, if not more of a factor, than coaching and game sense and knowledge, right? Like you can, so teams with good players are going to do well. Now there will always be a dark horse, and there will always be teams that overperform or underperform. Washington last season is a classic example, underperformed. London is a classic example last season, overperformed, because a good environment will produce better players. But skill matters. And especially in the tumultuous, I would say, esports arena, where like it's hard to build like a coaching culture that like lasts for many, many years. Like you have to look at a lot of sports teams. It's more immediate value to have a good players than it is to have like a good environment. Yeah. That being said, if you have bad coaching, bad management, it is very easy to see a good roster implode. And every year there will be some rosters that underperform and overperform. Vancouver last season massively underperformed the first half of the year. I could go back and look at the list here. Glad's underperformed at really, really bad times. Yeah. Washington underperformed. Let's put it this way. Vegas Eternal could win many games this year, but Vegas Eternal will never win the Overwatch League. That's silly for me to say. I would be very surprised if Vegas, it would have to be like the perfect meta, because their mechanics right now aren't good enough to even beat an underperforming, overperforming mechanical team. At least not over the course of the season. Now, I will say this with Overwatch, the way the grand finals work is you could be really hot one day and win it. It's a lot like the Super Bowl and the football, where you can win one game and you're just the greatest, even if you're just happen to be better that day or the way the dice flip. It's not like, I don't know how other sports do it, but basketball, NBA, it's 7 games. So generally the better team wins because it's more spread out and it's harder to like choke 7 games. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Even with the fact that one game is one game, right? It's harder. Better teams, better mechanical teams win. We studied Edison's pop. If you want to see about Edison's play, I've already got an analysis already completely on the grand finals on the Dallas versus San Francisco Shock. And that was an example where mechanics mattered a lot, but also teamwork mattered a lot. Dallas were the better team. Edison is, I think, overrated. I think Edison played well, but Edison was enabled by a better, at least in the finals. Edison played well, but Proper was the better Sojourn, clearly. The only difference was that Edison hit a few really crucial shots, and he did play well, but he was Dallas's macro game, ult game, and their Winston Reaper trades were significantly better than Shock's. Okay, let's focus up here. Now, chat, why are we playing monkey? Why are we playing monkey? You tell me. I want you guys to think long and hard about this. This is tough. I mean, Hottie's on monkey, y'all. Hottie's monkey is what I'm kind of talking about. It's really not that hard. It's really not that hard. There's your life hack. Let me put it this way. What were we playing? What were we playing on the attack? Ball, right? But we have the high ground to start with, and I would probably guess that defense. Does anybody play Wrecking Ball in chat? I feel like this is probably not a very good defensive point for Wrecking Ball. My guess is that it's really not that deep. Speaking of the devil, it's just Ball is not the greatest defensive hero here. Brig Zen monkey is freaking weird, yeah. But what I imagine it's probably here. And I imagine Ball is a little awkward on this point. And we probably will see Hottie going maybe Ball on second. Probably Ball on second. That'd be my guess. Why not Diva? Diva actually would be quite good here. Yes, Diva would be excellent here, but Potty probably doesn't play Diva. So, yeah, sometimes the simple answer is the correct answer. So then here, okay, let me talk about the Hollywood trap. Okay, here's the Hollywood trap. This is something that is consistently an issue. It has been an issue for probably 4 years. Ever since I've been coaching anyway. Isn't Monkey better if he can stage better than Ball? Yeah, arguably. That's a good point. And he can stage in this point because it's very tight. As it gets more open, it's going to be harder. Anyway, long story short, the Hollywood trap. The Hollywood trap is this room. Now, for those of you that have watched my streams before, you'll know what I'm talking about. Why is this a trap? What do I mean by the Hollywood trap? Why is this room a trap? See if you guys can come up with the answer. Think about London's comp. Think about what Vancouver's going to do. Think about how London might position, and then tell me why this room is a trap. Now, that's a very unnuanced way of looking at it, but let's just start with that for right now. Team gets boxed in very easily from different angles, bad sight lines. If you get dove there, you're screwed. Yeah, you guys are definitely on the right. You're on the right track here, 100%. So what ends up happening is you don't have a really difficult time positioning your supports. And so when you get dove, you end up, kiting back a little bit. But the problem is as soon as you get stuck in here, you're kind of done. It's kind of over, like because you can't push back out again without walking into open space, right? So how would I play this, man? And this is the Hollywood trap. Like, this is the thing, is like there isn't a great answer to that. What I would probably recommend is leaning towards this direction and making sure that you don't get pincered from this side by a tracer. So what I want is Hottie here, backline can play here, maybe BAP starts here and Zen plays boxes, or even Zen plays up here, right? And then our kite location leans towards back where there's still open space. We're still kind of in a small area, but at least we can see stuff. And then what I'd probably do is have Sparker start here, maybe control high ground here, Monkey trades, and then Lethal either marks here to prevent us from getting pincered through Cafe, or Lethal marks Tracer here, depending on where they're set up. But Zen probably leans further here. You could play Zen left side as bait. I think this is too close. I'm not sure if I understand exactly what you're saying. But Bat probably plays here. Zen probably actually plays back corner here towards Dumpster. And then kites this direction. Bap can either play up top here or kite towards Zen. I think this is the sweet spot for Bap Zen and not this, because we can't see anything once we kite inside. Ball could work if he zones off lower Mega with a Tracer and pokes maybe. Yeah, he could play here with a Tracer and 2v1, but I think the Monkey controlling the backlane and cleaving them as they rotate is probably a little bit better. So I'm curious. So they don't get full health here, so they do lose first point. I'm curious to see how they lose first point. I imagine it's some form of, let's say they actually set up here. So their setup is similar to kind of what I was saying, right? So there's a Tracer controlling here, Bap here, Sky leans back towards here. But do we get caught in the Hollywood trap? Let's see. And I have not seen this VOD, so I don't know. I might be completely wrong. I don't like Sky. Okay, Skairipa's going to go top. This could be fine. Okay, so then they do the far rotate here. Okay, so I got it. I got it. Okay, chat, how do we set this one? How do we deal with this? So you guys can see the problem right now, right? Too close. They've closed the distances. So how do we adjust? Let's focus on backline first because Winston, Tracer, and Sojourn are pretty flexible with how they position. So let's start with Zen Bap. How do we rotate here? Because you have to do this quick. It has to be so fast, right? Okay. One other thing as well. I will say this as well. There's a big mistake with Lethal here. Lethal needs to scout this. Lethal needs to be peeking right here, and he needs to keep peeking here. Because what could Vancouver do here? Vancouver could double back and catch them. So Lethal he must keep scout on this. Otherwise they lose vision, and a ping is really helpful here. So first off, Lethal needs to be here. Okay, and then let's check here. Flip, heals go towards Mini, and flip. Yeah, so this is what I think. I don't think Bap Zen should play here. I think this is going to get really... Okay. This is going to be messy. It doesn't matter. There is no clean rotate here. You're basically playing for second point with this composition. I'm just going to be honest with you guys, or you're playing for an ultimate. So here's what I think. I think Sparker stays here. Baits dive. Landon stays here. Baits dive. I think Sky goes here where he can get pocketed and where it's basically full monkey jump away. Or Sky, probably even better, Sky goes in towards here. I think this is probably the best room. Sky here. Landon here, where he could pocket. Sparker egos here. Hottie can sit inside this room and cleave corner. I think Lethal lags behind to scout, but then Lethal can clear them from the high ground and then trade backlines. I don't think Zen can't get to high ground in time. It won't happen fast enough. If you could, it would be pretty good, but I don't think he can get there in time. And I also think his sight lane isn't very good from high ground. I think his sight lane's better from here. What do you guys think? This is map 2. Sugar Free's been okay. Nothing really bad or good. I haven't really studied his POV yet, so nothing crazy. I think this has to be the best setup. And if somebody needs to like send this to London, because I don't know because if this is a composition we're playing this map, we have to know this rotation. I really think this could be good. You have a lot of distance with your Zen. You have a sightline with your Bap. And if they dive Sparker, he shifts up to high ground, easy peasy. If they don't dive Sparker, he's cleaving. If they don't focus Hottie, he's cleaving. Lethal, he's cleaving. Bap, he's cleaving, right? And I think if they dive Zen, Bap literally falls asleep. He does not under any pressure at all. Why does Zen play there, not the mini room to the right? Because his kite, because I think the sightlines for Bap are a little bit worse. I'm not sure on this one. I also think that he could kite out this direction and maybe get pocket through the back here. Flip. I don't know. It's a detail. I'm not really sure, to be honest. It's just I'd have to think about it more. I think, yeah. Okay, so let's see what they do. Do they get the Hollywood trap? Oh, it's a Hollywood trap. I feel like London should probably lose this now. I might be wrong. Yeah. It's too easy, right? Whenever a monkey gets landing damage on a Winston, bam, it's over. Now, Sky definitely messes up his rotation. Lamp could have been there faster, but even Lamp gets there. SCRIMS doesn't mess up rotation. Then Vancouver just backs out, and London's in this tiny room. I think it's over. I think when you get to this point, I think it's over. Yeah. They're going to try and push back out again, but it's GG's. What if they split dive Winston onto Bap and Tracer on dive the Zen? That's a good point. But if it's just Winston diving Bap, Bap might get his shift forced. Or maybe the Zen harmonies him. But the problem with the solo Winston is if he doesn't like get landing damage on a Bap, and it's very hard to get landing damage on a Bap, you actually don't really kill the Bap. Like it's really will take you forever to get kill pressure on the Bap. And worst case scenario, you force shift. Which is not a great trade. So what would happen is if you dive the Bap, maybe he shifts, right? But then he can still use his full pocket and lamp. And by the time a Winston kills a Bap with shift, it's probably about 6 or 7 seconds. Maybe it's a little off, but it's quite a long time. And meanwhile, it's too late. The fight's over. Yeah, I think the Bap. I actually think the Bap is pretty tight because the Bap is what enables you to hold here, which splits up the enemy dive. I think it's gonna be good. I think it's good. I think London loses this though. Maybe they recontest. They do try. They do get onto Aspire. So I will say this, chat. What's the problem with Vancouver right now? What's the problem with Vancouver right now? What do you guys see? This is like classic early season stuff, right? What's the problem with Vancouver? Vancouver just absolutely dominated the league, took away the space, took away the map, dove, got the kill in Skairipa, starting to capture point. What's the problem? With bubbling the BAP, well, it's hard to bubble the BAP though. That's the problem. Is like you bubble the BAP, he just drops. Or he jumps, and nothing's changed. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the BAP is actually kind of tight here. It's actually pretty decent. They go AFK, right? They like why are we here? So okay, guys, I microed London setup. Okay, what I think London could do better. You guys micro Vancouver setup. I want you to tell me every single player. Let's ignore Faith because I think Faith's position is pretty decent here. But I want you to tell me every single player on Vancouver, where should they be positioned? You guys don't have to get all of them, but like if you have a thought about Crimzo's positioning or a thought about Aspire or Punk or Sugar Free, you let me know. Because they're going to try for a recontest here, right? So how do we need to set up for the recontest? Aspire should be on the high ground? Yes. Number one, Aspire should be right here where he cannot get pressured until they hard commit. He has a great angle on point, right? Should be here, okay? Punk on top of Cafe? Not bad, not bad. Maybe he gets poked out by Sparker here, so I wouldn't be mad if Punk like played the corner here, okay? Tracer can find... Tracer could be hunting Tracer right now with Kiriko, right? Use the downtime. Or setting up like here, maybe to wrap around behind, right? Or just a crossfire and part, right? Yeah, yeah. You could even make a good argument here that like Kiriko could be playing like on high ground with the Sojourn, maybe. Yeah, I definitely think Aspire's positioning could be better. And I think Sugarfree's position could be better as well. Like you're not going to be able to cap point before they touch, so there's no real point in having a bunch of people on cart. But this is not good. This is not good. This is giving London a recontest because everybody's kind of in a clump, right? Aspire is very easy to contest. Now, one of the advantages of Sojourn is you can dive the Sojourn, but you still with the damage. Clairvoyant, thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Is this the Clairvoyant that leaked the Glad scrim? Because we're about to do your scrim after this map. Appreciate the raid, mate. Yeah, all right. So yeah, Aspire's under pressure. One of the advantages of Sojourn is that Sojourn can disengage while also doing damage, but she's still not in a great spot, you know, and this still forces Suzu. Sparker's gonna walk out, Landon gets a good angle. This is a pretty nice recontest from London. This is pretty cute, you know, like it's probably not gonna win it, but there's at least a chance, right? There's at least a chance, right? And they bought a lot of time. Lethal takes the elevator. They almost took it together, cute. But ooh. Wow, really Vancouver scuffed this one up, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. They do not get a... I mean, even this from Punk isn't good, right? So, like, going into the micro here, that bubble isn't good. It doesn't do anything. He's not actually using it to dive, and it also bugs... I was like, for a second, I was like, somehow I missed this. What? This is crazy, y'all. No. This is huge, man. Like, we talked about tempo, man. Like, Hadi got so much out of his bubble. Punk got so little out of his bubble. So pre-fight positioning and bubble usage, right? Like, it's that simple, you know? It's that simple. And then now London goes, okay, they've got no bubble. Apes together strong. Yes, we're reliant on our bubble too, but our supports are not cooldown reliant, you know? We have an advantage. Let's walk. And that's exactly what they do. They clear them out. Great job by London. Again, outside of the map, like specific rotation, which I think could be better, I really freaking love like London's play in here. Oh crap, that does mean they build a support ult fast though. Good back window, and that's it. No, Hadi, no, Hadi, no, Hadi, careful. Careful, Hadi. Okay, Hadi's fine. All right, I overreacted. All right, this is where we need to, as quickly as we possibly can, once again, get Hadi or Lethal on scouting duty. And then our backline needs to rotate accordingly. You could have your Zen like here on this corner ready to disengage either direction, because if they rotate back this direction, remember we're rotating this way, right? And then you have your bat positioned up forward. Yeah, the Kiriko rush was not phenomenal, but the intention was good, right? Because London theoretically could have potentially overextended. Again, y'all, like we needed, it was tough for London this time because we didn't have good scouting on where they were positioned, but again, we're in the death room, right? Like look at that. Punk doesn't even have to use anything, and look at the space that London controls. 0. Hottie's taking so much damage. He's gonna have the primal. They're immediately able to walk onto Skairipa while taking basically no damage. Punk might die here though. Do you see how choked out London feels? Oh man, guys, I just want this is just something. AJ, is Brig not worth it? No, I think Brig would be probably worth it. But I do think the BAP is pretty good if you can greet it on like second point, and maybe the Brig is too weak if they were to go like some other comp. Like what if they, I don't know guys, I don't have a lot of scrim insight with y'all, so I'm just guessing. But it might be that BAP is just like really good on second point. I mean, we talked about that, right? It did look pretty good for the brief moment that we saw it, but yeah. That's wild. Like Vancouver even set it up really nicely there, but they just crapped the bed. Like I want to find out what happens here, because obviously AJ, right? AJ, haha, AJ. But like, what happens here? Nice little crossfire from Lethal. They're gonna go in on the Zen. Sugar Free gets the pincer. Aspire forces that. And it really might just be an ult thing. Like if they just didn't have ult. Like if this is beat, they're over. Yeah, I don't know. The monkey's looking good though. The monkey looks like it's getting a lot of value though. Yeah, a lot of it does feel like raw skill. I think the only thing that I've seen so far, where was the good macro play? I liked Vancouver's macro play in Colosseo versus Vegas. I thought that was good high level play. I liked Atlanta Rein's play on the first point, specifically in Eco Point Antarctica versus Shock. I also like Atlanta Rein's play on New Queen Street versus San Francisco Shock. I've liked London's play on this attack in terms of team play. I didn't pay as much attention to what Atlanta Rein was doing on Lijiang Tower versus Vegas a couple days ago. But I would say most of the footage that we've looked at from all teams has been more mechanics and mistakes than it has been macro. Yeah, well, Rein also looked weak at points as well. Are we going to rotate? Now, I really think even with Trance, you still rotate. Because you're going to get Dove. You're going to get... So let's make sure that they have to pop Primal Rage to dive you, not just a Winston bubble, right? You kind of see what I'm saying? Like, Lethal is scouting. Oh, Lethal gets a Translocator for us. Come on, Lethal. You get a headshot. Come on, Lethal. Come on, Dennis. He's keeping the scouting there for the double back. So I want, Bap Zen here. Scouting. Right. Skairipa probably needs to be playing a little bit further forward so he can rotate faster. Did they double back? They double back. Okay, so immediately, Skairipa needs to rotate this way. Immediately. Oh man, death box again. This is, I assume this must be the fight that London loses here, because this is gonna choke them out of so much space, right? I don't love... Yeah, London just doesn't control any space, so now we can very easily leverage point. They're gonna try and walk out now that Monkeys use bubble. Punk goes in, and that's the problem right there. That's the problem with the death room. The Hollywood trap, where when a hero, without even using, he doesn't even have bubble yet. When he's able to force this without using, he doesn't, actually that's actually a misplay by Punk. If he had waited 1 second, literally 1 second, he would have been able to bubble and primal way later. But that's the problem right there. Forces trance and lamp. Big problem. And then no space, right? No space for Sparker, no space for Landon. Yeah, it's a death room. There it is. Yeah, that is indeed a kill box. Quite literally, but yeah. It's a shame. And there's the ball swap. Hey guys, we guessed it. We guessed it. We guessed it. Nice. And the Sojourn will... I wonder if the Sojourn swaps after we use Railgun. Yeah, so Mish, I've already gone in detail with exact rotations I want them to do, but I do not want them playing in here. I do not want them playing in here. They start here, and then this is the springboard for BAP to rotate to here, Zen to rotate to here or here, and then if they rotate this direction, your BAP stays here and your Zen drops back. That would be what I want them to do. You could even have your Zen rotate back and take elevator. That actually might not even be as much of a feed. Yeah. Okay, so the only swap I would expect here is maybe Aspire goes Somber after using ult. Hadi aggressively contesting high ground. Why? Because my backline's here, right? The Aspire might just die, and that's it. That was really, really clean. That was really clean. How should Winston play with BAP Zen? Like, how does he get healed? You don't get as much healing, but you need less healing because your backline does so much damage that if the enemy team doesn't focus your backline, then they will die. So if they focus you, yes, you won't get as much healing, but then they'll die. If that makes sense? It's like if you play with a Widowmaker and they don't die of your Widow, then they just die, right? So like if you're playing Winston with BAP Zen, yeah, it's not optimal, far from optimal. But that is one advantage, is that if they focus you, yeah, you're not getting as much healing, but then they're going to be punished for focusing you. So boom, really nice little grapple there. That's just clean. And then now you're gonna walk forward. Walk, 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 walk. Tempo, right? We've seen bubble, we walk. Yes, 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 Oliver, yes, absolutely. Spam, 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 spam. We still want to keep high ground though, so there's like a limit, there's like a leash. Whenever a composition is reliant off of a positioning, there's a leash with how far they'll go. If this was like a Lucio composition the London was playing, they probably would have chased him to spawn, because Lucio doesn't benefit as much from positioning. But a BAP Zen is very reliant off of the positioning, so there's only so far that they're going to chase. All right, so let's see. A little bit of spammage. And they're just going to keep punish on the choke, keep punish on Tracer, keep punish on Monkey. Lethal's job here is very important, very mechanically intensive, where he's trying to keep as much pressure on Sugar Free and Monkey as possible. Sparker builds rail. It really doesn't even matter who he rails. Tracer is generally probably your highest priority, just to force a recall. But the cart shouldn't move any further, and it doesn't. And now we're going to see contest for high ground. Now this is the moment of truth. So chat, who's going to win this battle for high ground? Look at the ults that Vancouver has. You would think that it would be Vancouver, and sometimes you will be right. But what's the problem with high ground for Vancouver now? What's the problem with high ground for Vancouver now? Right. Watch. It's Ball. Yes, Ball is really good at messing up the high ground, but they need to close the distance somehow. This is a long sightline. So what you're probably going to see is an aggressive jump, a beat, and then probably a Sojourn ult. But a lot of things can go wrong here. Let's put it this way. If London plays this one well, even if they play it well, they might have to drop off of high ground versus the beat and the Sojourn ult. But just the nature of having a good Sojourn angle, a good BAP, and a good Discord angle, plus a Ball disrupting, a lot of things could go wrong. Reaching, yeah, to an extent, right? Now they'll use beat, so it probably won't be reaching, but a lot of things could go wrong here. So what my guess is that if London wins this, it's probably due to something mechanical, like Hadi messes up somebody hits a right click, somebody gets low, the Kiriko. So like we have to be so careful with our beat here, and we're so careful with our Suzu, because we really need to make sure that we actually safely cross this space. And if they win this, it's because they're able to do this. So even with 0 ults, this is going to be tough. There's a Sojourn ult early. There's the mechanics. There it is. Right? It had to be mechanics. Again, it's not like, oh, big brain prediction. It just had to be mechanics. There's more likely that stuff's going to go wrong because it's awkward crossing the high ground. So what's the problem here? What's the problem? I would have liked Punk to pack from under and jump directly into BAP Zen, but Tracer and Ball are marking him, perhaps. Yes, exactly. So he probably needs to play with his team. But this is almost like an elevator mistake, right? The Suzu is late. The Suzu actually misses, and then the beat comes in. But Punk takes so much damage on the rotation, it doesn't even matter. There you go. Nice job by Landon. Or London. Larndon. You know? You cause enough of a chaos, and really, like, as bad as this feels, there's the Sombra swap, by the way. As bad as this feels for London, because, like, you know, chaos has happened, and how did Landon die, honestly? How did Landon die? What is going on with Landon? He has both cooldowns. Bro, what? He doesn't even get a shift off? How? This... What happens? He's just slow. So remember, pulse will damage and kill the lamp as well. So maybe he could have walked a little further away from lamp, but the big thing for me is that he just shifted a little bit late. There's no reason he should have died to that. Yeah, so it's just a mechanical mistake. That being said, this is fine for London. The cart's in Narnia. Even if they lose literally everybody here, it doesn't matter. Cart's not moving. Lethal can get out. Hottie can get out. There's the Brig swap. There's the Sombra swap, as predicted. And now they have ults so that they can actually contest high ground. They may not even need to contest high ground here. We might have somebody leaning left side here, and then they're just shooting cart. Yeah, this isn't great. Sparker takes the aggressive angle. That's going to force jump. There's the mines. And then again, now while the backline is tied up with mines, Sparker's like, you ego me, I ego you, I get double pocket, and he's discorded. GG's. Punk has to be so disciplined. And this is what Sojourn's really good at here. Sojourn is so good at using her mobility to prevent Monkey from ever using cover. Because normally if you're playing, like, Monkey could just hide here, right? But you can't with the Sojourn because he just takes the space right back again. And then there you go. Now we're just chasing Punk. Punk will die. Punk will not die. Punk will get Suzu'd. There's the death. That's going to force a Suzu. And then afterwards, and then now London can just press W. As long as we're very careful, clearing angles, considering lose cons. And then now we retake high ground, and then this should be a full hold. And it is, because the time, that's what the time says. So now it's really just the same thing again, but it's going to be a lot harder. So what Vancouver can do is try to force cart and pocket cart, but as long as your Zenyatta can see cart and discord cart, you're not going to be able to out control cart over discord. Discord's going to do so much more than even Kiriko pocket. The question is Skairipa going to be able to pocket cart from here without dying? Even the Sojourn shooting cart is a problem. Will Al Replay Viewer be available this season? I don't know. I really don't know. Uh-oh, Hottie gets split. I would like Hottie and Lethal to be working together more in the Summer Tracer mirror. They were doing a great job of it on the attack, but they need to be working together more because, again, this is another opportunity for Vancouver to get a lot of ult charge and get a lot of space, but this shouldn't happen. Hottie either needs to do one of two things. He needs to play with his Tracer, or he needs to play in front of his support LOS, where they can get discorded and then win the trade here. This is not very good by Hottie. Or Lethal, we don't know who the issue is. Mechanics. El Mechanico. He farms a shot. He kills the Aspire. Righto. Kind of interesting that the backline actually drops here. Again, it's like the play is for cart. I don't know. It might be that this rotation across bridge is too greedy, so that if they get to here, yes, you could shoot cart, but then you might just die. Yeah. I will say this: if there's no Al Replay Viewer this season, I am going to make a stink out of it nicely on Twitter, and at least get an answer about why. Because I'm sure there's a good reason why there's not, but there's not. It wasn't communicated last season, even though pro players had it. Other people didn't, and that really ticked me off. It's just ridiculous to me, to be honest with you guys. So yeah. All right, Discord angle is pretty good from here. Obviously losing high ground is kind of bad because it can allow the enemy team to take the high ground and then stage easier on your backline, but it's not that much better. You don't have to live or die with high ground necessarily. Hey, thanks Built Diff, I appreciate it, mate. Well, the game wasn't properly released, that's true. But even when... Yeah, that's true. That's true. Maybe there was like a client issue. Surely we'll have it this year, chat. Surely. So this is good. This is good from London. Good little peel here, and it takes a lot of reach for them to be able to get it. Maybe the trance shouldn't have been necessary. We should rally ASAP. Good trade on the back line. Like, again, it's just reaching, chat. You see this? This is the Vancouver thing. Like, this is what Vancouver's struggling with. Like, I think right now, Vancouver should probably just prioritize on controlling cart. The problem here is that just, like, Aspires and spawn, y'all. Like, why is Aspire and spawn? I guess they just see an opportunity and they just go, but man, it sucks. This is, again, one disadvantage of being on the floor is that you are a little bit more accessible as a backline. Landon? What happens, Landon? It looks like Landon gets caught off guard. Yeah, Landon does get caught off guard. Yeah, a little bit of a backline mishap from London there, but they're probably falling asleep at the wheel because it's a 4v5. Lethal and Hottie do a good job of controlling what DP calls the tail, which is the last person in the dive who gets isolated. What? What? No way, y'all. Come on, man. Come on, man. No, we've got Glads and Saints, so we're going to finish with that. What is Vancouver's neutral win con? You need to find a way to rotate on top of the backline without taking damage. So you need to do what they did here and then rotate on top of backline. I think the idea of what Vancouver did was fine. But then obviously once you force trance, you need to be able to disengage, survive, and play for your next cycle of Winston bubble. And Vancouver has kind of been more all in and then struggling to get back out again. This is why these Winston comps are so hard to play, right? You have to have like hive mind, you know, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. When your bubble's active, you're active. When your bubble's not active, you're not active. Aspire is really struggling on Sombra. I'm not going to lie to you. Aspire has been almost a complete non-factor on Sombra, which makes sense, right? Like Aspire is not, you know, not somebody that is historically has very well known for a Sombra, and it's showing. Pre-rally, Sparker needs to get some of that juice. And all we have to do is shoot cart. And that's pretty much it. Hottie is also, yeah, Hottie is doing a really nice job of controlling space. I think the real role stars for me, this thing has been a little bit of Hottie on Skairipa, but yeah. What would trans count here other than a lost team fight? I mean, anything. Primal, Kiriko, Beat, EMP. I mean, trans is the best ult out here, honestly. That or rally. I just think Vancouver has had a hard time finding windows to hard commit. Yeah. You guys have any questions? Because we've been over a lot so far. You have a question. Why did my dad leave? I would tell you, but he paid me not to tell you, so. Involves the Russian mafia. How did Saints macro stack up to what you've seen from Al teams? I don't know. We haven't looked at it yet. And honestly, from what, okay, here's the other thing, y'all. Okay, there's a reason Hottie leaked these two maps. All right, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. They were a little, I wouldn't say one-sided. King's Row was definitely one-sided, but this one was not as much. But it was definitely a pretty dominating win, right? So these just so happened to be the one that leaked. And isn't it weird that Saints leaked the map where they full capped on Glads? Isn't that kind of weird? What an odd turn of events. You know what I'm saying? Vancouver's a good team. I guarantee you Vancouver went even with London in scrims. Guarantee you. Or at least it was like a 4-2 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? When does Admiral play? Whenever they need Lucio. I'm in a state where I don't know enough. Ask anything. Huh. Sparker played well. Did he miss a shot? I'm sure he did. One or two. Who are the Vancouver supports? Faith and Crimza. Is there life on Mars? Again, a question that I've been paid not to answer. King Usoro was leaked, but he liked this by accident. I got it. Is the way London's backline playing? What should Sombra have tried to accomplish? I mean, Sombra just needed to stage better. I think Sombra just had a really, really hard time staging on their backline. Yeah. I don't want to go too in detail because that would be an entirely different discussion, but yeah. Leaking maps you stomp as a cheat code? Hey, Infected. Yeah, it is. It really is. The other London versus Vancouver. Yeah, actually, for those of you that actually saw the VOD, London versus Vancouver, what was the map score? I saw in the link that it was Oasis. I'm sure, I mean, honestly, guys, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. These teams are experimenting, bro. What should London do to stop Vancouver's 5-man rotations? Try to utilize your ball tracer to disrupt and force cooldowns during the rotation. Like, you try and hit them hard and hit them often. We talked about it earlier, but for the most part, Hottie was doing it pretty well. I think Lethal definitely struggled a little bit this map. But yeah. The comms for London, they were testing the matchup. Yeah. Can I ask a dumb question, more or less? No. Why is Winston comp strong with bubble and bad without? It's just this simple. Like, Winston without bubble cannot do anything because Winston has a very large hitbox and he dies instantly without bubble. He doesn't do a lot of damage. He doesn't have a lot of poke. He has no other relevant cooldowns. And so if he doesn't have his bubble, he gets one shot. I mean, that's just, that will line up even with your ranked experience 9 times out of 10. So when a Winston comp has bubble, it is really one of the best cooldowns in the game. So a Winston with bubble blocks cooldowns, blocks damage, enables him to land and go aggressively. So when a Winston is strong with bubble, the Winston comp is strong with bubble. When a Winston is weak with bubble, the Winston comp is weak with bubble. And Winston's one of the more, I keep saying the word tempo, it's a lot like what the term they're using for Ramatra, where he's a very on or off tank depending on whether he has bubble or whether he doesn't have bubble. So the bubble can be used for like a team support as well, like your team can use the bubble, but it's also just Winston can't play aggressively, and if Winston can't play aggressively, his team can't play aggressively.
BTW, I gotta get going in a second, but I figured I should say thanks. The weekend after the Traffle I climbed from D5 to M5.
Congratulations.
I'll likely be back for a few more coaching sessions once I've gone through practicing all my notes from last time.
Good luck. I'm glad to hear you're improving, man. I appreciate the kind words. Appreciate the kind words. All right, chat. And thank you for the bets. We've got a big juicy coming up here. So we have the Glads versus Maryville, or Saints, scrim. And yeah, Triage, I was sitting here weeping, mate. Like, what's going on? I've been waiting. I didn't sleep last night. I was like, where's Triage, guys? Where's Triage? This one is a full cap and is a shorter map, only 9 minutes. So we'll take a look at Glads. I will be right back. I'm drinking a lot of water. I'm going to analyze this one in about a minute and a half. I gotta pee. Be right back, bye. You're good. You're good. Righto. We're back. Tree's really good. Yeah, tree's amazing. Tree is a true flex as well, which is a huge thing as well. Like, his hit scan is as good, if not better, than his projectile. King's also really good. I mean, there isn't. Who is the tank for? Is it Mikey? Is this Mikey? This is Mikey, right? Correct. This monkey's monkey. Monkey. Is that actual choice one? I mean, I don't think it's choice one. I imagine it's Dante, right? Gladiators. Yeah, this is the Glads. Yeah, so this is Dante, Yaki, Kevster, Babel, Funny Astro. So I guess Babel is their Kiriko specialist, or they're getting him some reps. We don't really know which one. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. It's scrims, and especially versus a Contenders team. So, what? Oh, nice. They're in the window together. Yeah. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You guys want a little leak? Contenders teams can beat OWL teams in scrims. However, generally it's not the case. Do you guys want to talk about this? Okay. London back in 2021 was okay in scrims. We were better in scrims than we were in officials. We had about a 45% map win rate, somewhere around that ballpark. We almost never scrimmed Contenders teams, probably about once or twice a week, and it was always British Hurricane. And we usually turbo stomped them. And British Hurricane was a good Contenders team. There were a few times we scrimmed in a Contenders team, I think, and it was a turbo stomp. Last season, I remember with London, once or twice, because especially we were doing triple block days, sometimes we'd have to scrim Contenders teams, and they were always pretty bad. Especially the later end of the season, they were extremely one-sided. I don't think we lost a map to Contenders teams, and these is even against very good Contenders teams. That's the case for really even pretty much every OWL team. I don't know what it's going to be like this season. I do know that I think OWL has become the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So I could definitely see Contenders teams beating OWL teams even mid to late in the season this year. But a team like Gladiators is likely not going to drop a map unless they're legit trolling to a Contenders team in 2 or 3 months. Now, I'm not talking about Korean Contenders. Korean Contenders is just a whole nother animal. But NANU Contenders, like, this is a map that Gladiators crap the bed on. We already know that they get full cap just based off of the release code itself. But this has really no impact on how Gladiators will do. And I can also tell you that even a really good Contenders team is probably not going to beat an OWL map later in the season. So this is probably the best Contenders team that we're going to have all year in the West. Or Contenders / Collegiate. I mean, talking about XL Mikey, who did really well this last season. Tree is probably the best DPS in the West. King has an argument for being a top 3 or top 4 DPS in the entirety of the West. CJ is really quite good. Vegas is really quite good. I'm not as familiar with the support lineup as I am with some of their other players, but yeah. And yeah, Puno's ping. So remember, this is analysis, not power rankings. Analysis, not power rankings. You would rate Tree over Kevster? Oh, no. I mean, the best DPS, not an OWL. Sorry. Yes, yeah. Now, Tree is really good. Tree is probably better than some OWL DPSs in the West. I would definitely say that Tree is better than some DPSs that we have in the West, that are an OWL. But, yeah. Okay, Winston Reaper. How does a Tracer comp beat a Reaper comp? Because it's the exact mirror, right? I'm not going to go over too in detail. Okay, you know what? I'll give the quick TLDR. Here's how the Winston comp plays. Winston comp, when the Winston uses bubble, our Sojourn takes an angle, and we try and get pressure. The Sojourn might take an angle early, Sojourn might take an angle late with charge. It doesn't really matter. We need to be synchronizing our pressure with our Winston bubbles at the same time. So the question is how does the Tracer play over the Reaper? Reaper is better in the Tracer than in the Tracer matchup? No, we don't know. I can tell you guys this. Prior to the finals last season, Tracer was still being tested and played actively in scrims leading up to even a couple of days before the grand finals, from what I know. So you guys essentially saw Reaper in the finals. I think that was more of a panic for most teams, not being sure if Tracer was better and just committing with Reaper. But teams were still trying Tracer. Tracer was the number 3 DPS behind Reaper and Sojourn. So, Tracer got buffed. And things have changed, right? So how does the Reaper play over the Tracer now? Reaper explodes and focuses Winston. Tracer bleeds resources and doesn't commit until Reaper uses shift, sure. Think about the positioning or target priority. Where is your Tracer likely to position? Who is your Tracer likely to focus? Because Tracer can focus Winston, right? Reaper can also focus Winston, but assuming all things are the same, Reaper focusing Winston is probably a little bit better, right? Tracer shooting Reaper. Right, so to me, Tracer's more about controlling DPS. Tracer's not as good at shooting a Winston, but Tracer can focus a Reaper and win the 1v1 or the 2v2. And like, let's say we have a Winston Tracer versus a Winston Reaper. If the Tracer shoots the Reaper and they focus the Reaper, theoretically they can force Wraith without forcing the Tracer's recall. Whether that also forces the enemy Winston's bubble is up in the air. The other thing that Tracer does as well, theoretically, is it prevents the enemy Sojourn from taking as aggressive of an angle because Tracer controls the enemy Sojourn's positioning more than the Reaper does. The other thing about Tracer that made her very unpopular back then is that the presence of Suzu was not something that Tracers were used to playing around. And Reaper was just a million times better in the ultimate. So in other words, when you use Kirikou Ultimate, when you use Kirikou Ultimate, Tracer just didn't get a lot out of it, and Reaper just got a lot out of it. And to me, it was just that simple. So it's actually not that complicated. Tracer controls your angles a little bit better. Reaper wins the front line a little bit better. Reaper complements the Kirikou a little bit better. Tracers struggle to get validative ultimates into Kirikou, especially early on. And then Tracer's received a slight damage buff, which has given her a little bit more flexibility. Tracer's better versus DPS, Reaper's better versus tank. I say it's not complicated, but there are a lot of things to consider. Whether Reaper or Tracer is better, period, in the mirror, I don't know. I feel it's probably going to be Tracer when both are played at a high level, but also on maps where the map is very like corner oriented, the Reaper might still be quite good. It is probably also, you have to consider, hero strengths. How good is X hero? How good is Y hero? How good is, King at Reaper versus King at Tracer? I imagine King is probably a much better Reaper than he is a Tracer, and vice versa with Yaki. So, it's fun to analyze, but it is what it is. She got nerfed. Check patch notes. Did not fall off damage get increased. I swear that Tracer is better than she was at the end of the... Whatever. I might be wrong. Anyway. So here's what I want from Kevser. I want Kevser to move his flabby bottom as wide of an angle as he can without getting dove. And I think Tree is the similar thing. She was 5 in playoffs. So it's 5 to 5.5. Okay. The problem with that on first fight, though, is that there isn't really a good angle that you can take without using a shift. So your Sojourn can't really play deeper than this without getting your shift forced. Because you would like to play like here, but it's going to cost you your shift to get there. Why is this comp playing this map rather than on a Brig variation? Because Lucio's OP and push. You'd get more fights, you recontest faster. There's too much rotation and movement on push fights, whereas non-push maps, there's a little bit more set fight locations. Over a brawl comp, it just comes down to hero preference. So there's a flip from Mikey. Are we going to be able to rotate? Now, Dante's already made a mistake. Well, yes. What's the mistake? What's the mistake? Where's my Tracer? Where's my Sojourn sightline? Where's the corner that we want to play? We want to play here, right? We want a corner where my Sojourn can shoot and also to give time for my Tracer to wrap around, right? You're 1v5ing, almost. Maybe 2v5, right? And we know that because look at his HP. My Tracer just now is doing things, right? Just now. But Dante's already dead. Dante needs to give space, play a corner, and if anything, be more comfortable giving up space to the Reaper. And he also probably messed up his bubble jump as well, his bubble dance as well, because there's no way he should have taken that much damage. Right? So the bubble's a little late. Big shot by King there. Another big shot by King right there. Massive cooldown trade. So part of this is understanding the Reaper versus Tracer mirror better, but also it's just Dante just doesn't play this corner. Dante just needs to play the corner. And so that's a massive cooldown loss, because even though, okay, not even a cooldown loss, but just like, okay, both bubble teams use bubble, but Dante's still low. And they're still going. And that's going to cost them the fight. So you're like, oh no, you know, this is why. This fight's still lost. If anything, Dante should probably play slow, so like disengage here and try to focus King. But Dante's like, no. You lost the fight. You lost the fight. You were already dead. You were already dead. You're still not, and you're still not full HP. And now Reaper's on your backline and you just do it. Nice. I mean, that's a Contenders classic, right? Nothing fancy, no off angles, no flanks, no nothing. Just a nice little counter rotate. 3, 2, 1. Better timing, better target focus. Papa John's. There you go. Now I want to watch what Yaki was doing. So he is getting good pressure out. But it all happens so fast. Like, we talk about fast versus slow. I don't like using terms fast versus slow, but I will say Reaper is the more tempo hero, where if you could focus him and force his Wraith, he then is no longer near as valuable as Tracer, right? Whereas Tracer's more consistent. Thank you. Because like, we're getting good pressure out now, but it's too late. We've lost too fast. Now the reason why I don't like fast versus slow is theoretically if you play so slow that Reaper gets his Wraith back again, then actually the Reaper comp is strong again. So it's just more of like a, Reaper is more spiky. Tracer's more consistent. Yeah. Dante controlled. Respectfully. Which ended up costing him HP, which ended up costing Suzu, and then that ended up allowing King to go aggressively here. Again, I really strongly dislike this bubble. It gives me the willies. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is not pleasant. Like, this is just not well timed. It's just not well timed. My Sojourn is still in spawn. My Tracer still hasn't even peaked. Do we even want to be committing bubble here? Do we even want to take a fight on the corner versus Reaper comp? Would we not want to take open space and play to split and dive elsewhere? Probably. Avoid the Reaper. Don't meet them on the corner. And if you do meet them on the corner, for crying out loud, have your Tracer and Sojourn involved. You're not going to win this cooldown trade. We can, I mean, look, we don't even have to use our bubble. Now we go in hard with our bubble. And that might be it. We might die again. Now, they might have overextended. Yes, they don't get anything out of it. But that was a huge, huge issue. Sam Costs, thank you for the sub, mate. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for the subs and bits and all the support. I really appreciate this. I love doing this stuff, but it is nice to be able to, you know, eat while we're doing it as well. Oh, Twitch taking half of my payroll for sure. Nice. Okay, this by the way, this is another little cute thing about Tracer. Talk about utility, right? You're hypermobile. You can do all sorts of corny stuff like this, right? Awesome, banana guy. Thanks for the sub. Y'all got some wild names. All right, how does this happen? How does this happen, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, they just do. No way, y'all. No way. What? Oh, CJ just gets headshot. Mechanics. CJ just headshots Kevster. That's it. Cornmac! Thank you for the sub, mate. I appreciate it. Yes, that is Dante. Shouldn't you just let Tracer steal bot and win the 5v4? You could, but you can't push inside here even in a 5v4 necessarily. You see, so you could be like, oh, it's a 5v4, take the fight, but if you have to push into a choke, it's not that good. And they could kite it out, and meanwhile, you're C9ing cart. And the problem is if Yaki plays this one well, he took too much damage, Yaki could 1v1 Vega on cart and win the 1v1. Which then becomes a 2v1 on cart because you have to go back and help Vega, and then now we have a 4v3 over here, and then they win the 4v3. So I think leveraging the cart, the robot, is really, really good. But it's just mechanics. Like, nice shot from CJ. It definitely does not look like Glads know how to play this matchup yet. And Dante is struggling a little bit in terms of timing here. So where should Glads force the fight at? Let's talk about that. That's a great question. So if I ever get like overly critical without like elaborating what I would do instead, please catch me at it, because not only is it like really kind of crappy of me to do that, like it's disrespectful, but it's also like it's missing a learning opportunity as well. So you guys tell me, what should Glads do? Where are Glads weak? Hint, it's where we're at right now. Domsky
catches you.
Aw, that's sweet of you. Glads are weak on this corner, right? They're weak right here. Any short sideline, right? So we need to avoid the Reaper, or focus the Reaper, forces Wraith, and go from there. Open space. A survival versus Sam Cost. It's a good one. So we want to fight open space. Okay, so we know what we're looking for. We want for open space. We look for dives. We want to avoid Reaper. And look at our comp. Like, we can avoid Reaper if we want to. So how do we do it? Where do we rotate? Yeah, what if we did this? Rotate through here. Winston jump top with Kiriko TP. Maybe Lucio Sojourn stay here. Tracer follows. We focus Cart. We shoot CJ and Cart. CJ TP's out because he has to, right? They try to counter dive, and then we start C9ing Cart in open space. And meanwhile, poor King over there sitting there trying to chase people. Maybe he TPs, but then that's his cooldown. Spread the map. Play your angles. Play your mobility. Play your tracer advantage. Do not walk into Reaper as Winston unless you already have an advantage. You guys kind of see what I'm saying? Put Monkey in high ground. Start to C9 Cart. Set up your Sojourn in a better position. Because remember, your Tracer can control their Sojourn. Their Reaper should not be able to control your Sojourn. It's harder for Reaper. He's a little bit slower. He's a little bit more fragile. Yeah, instead, what are we doing? We're brute forcing it. We're matching toe to toe. This comp is, it would almost be like doing this versus a Reinhardt comp. It would make no sense whatsoever. That being said, even if you were to do that correctly, my major problem is not the playstyle, it's the timing. If you were to try and brute force this, you would need Yaki 3, 2, 1, turn the corner, shooting CJ or shooting these guys, and having kept me. Guys, look at when Dante uses bubble. He's not even here. He's not even here, right? Why are Glads forcing the team fight then? Laziness, lack of understanding, miscommunication, tiredness, goofy mistake, right? It happens, right? So we don't have to sit here and overanalyze this. But for right now, we know why the Glads are losing in terms of like raw, specific black and white reasons. But in terms of really why they're making those mistakes, we don't know. It honestly, pair, it really might just be a chill scrim that we're just chilling. I will say that this is why I don't like the whole triple block thing, because if you have a triple block and you're almost inevitably going to have a lower energy scrim, and I just think it's bad practice. But that's just my opinion. What do I know? Dante's timing is early? Yes. Okay, so let's see what we got here. This is okay. Like, you should be able to peel this off pretty easily, and because there's no Reaper here, we should be able to. We should be okay here. Like, the main thing is that we don't have our ults yet, and Saints do, but I don't. This isn't a bad setup here. Triple block is 3 scrim blocks in one day, 6 hours. So I assume something mechanical must happen here, because this isn't even bad. Like, again, like this is perfect, y'all. Look at this, right? Kiriko, Primal, we're C9ing Cart. Dante will live, Yaki will live. Why does Babel die? Babel might just die because, you know, Primal and Kiriko. Yeah, so a little bit of a lack of scouting. It's really not great that we had to get our Suzu force, and then does Funny Astro not hit the boop here? Oh, no. We need to hit the boop here. We goofed this up. So Glads screw up their peel with both their Suzu and their boop here. But besides that, this is really nice. Dante should not even primal, honestly. This is fight. This is bad. We should just take the L, honestly. We should take the L. Just take the L. We should have kept C9ing point as best as we could and then just died. So a little bit of peeling boot screw up from our supports, and then Dante really should not have committed primal here. Why does he even get this forest? You see, Dante shouldn't be jumping up here. Dante should be jumping out. Dante should be jumping out to Mega over here. And then if they want to chase from here, now we can primal. This is a mistake from Dante. So poor peel, and then this is also just goofy. I mean, the thing is like, even if he jumps up for primal, he's jumping onto a Reaper with primal. He's gonna lose his HP immediately, even with primal here. So even if this fight is winnable, this is not how we'd want to use primal. Yeah, Clover's Mikey. Yeah, so I want to see Mikey out here tearing it up. Nice. Ooh, very nice. Nice. Very good. Hello, Sean. Deceptive names? I just think people are just on alts. I don't know. This is on live, y'all. So Glad should win this one. Probably see a Kiriko opener. There's the Sojourner. We might beat this. There's the Suzu. Ooh, King gets toasted. What? King should not have died this soon. I mean, this is the Reaper diff, right? This is, I hate using that term, but like, this is where Reaper is really, really weak, right? If Tracer scouts him out, he can't win this 1v1. He just can't. So, like, I mean, that's just insanity from Yaki. That's a great play. I guess we just don't use our ult? Like, I don't even know. I don't like the... There must be miscommunication here. I don't understand why we're TPing in aggressively and not using an ultimate. I think I know what the problem was, chat. Okay, so let me delve deep into the brain. Watch this. So we're avoiding Reaper. Awesome. We're focusing Tree. But because Astro eats a shot, I think this is a beat engage play. And as soon as Astro takes this shot, he's scared to beat. So he tries to go to cover. He gets booped out of bubble. Now he's safe to beat. I don't know why he waits so long, though. He should have beat as soon as he hit bubble. And we might have been able to save Babel. Right? Now, we beat. Yeah. I don't understand why Glads were pressing W so aggressively without using a support ult there. That made no sense to me. Yaki and Flora were the best players in New York Excelsior last season. I'm just telling you objectively. I don't know how they played officials as much, but I'm telling you in scrims, whenever we lost a fight to New York Excelsior in scrims, 9 times out of 10, it was just because Yaki or Flora hit a shot. They were really strong mechanically last year. I don't know what New York's issues were last year, but it was not mechanically from Yaki and Flora. And then again, mechanics here, right? This is just mechanics. This is just a great shot by CJ, and he gets the TP out. And he gets peeled off. Oh, he doesn't get peeled off. Vega's falling asleep at the wheel. Wow. Okay, so Dante clears it up. You'd only be one at a time? Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys, but I'm telling you, like, Yaki and Flora were always problems in scrims. They're the only players that anybody really respected. This is clownery right here. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. We've seen some really goofy timing, a little bit of a lack of understanding. Glads get handed a team fight win, and then they jump in and they just don't use a support ult, so Babel just dies. Then CJ goofs up and ruins people's days. But like, how is this even happening? Babel's just here, and Kevster's just like, I'm sorry guys. This is the most ranked game I think I've ever seen in the scrim so far. What? 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 Where is everybody? Hello? Oh, yeah. This is what I'm talking about, y'all. Like, when I see this, this is just... there's just nothing to... There's not a whole lot to learn from this. This is why it ain't that deep. This is just foolishness. This is just foolishness is all it is. Do you think Floor will do well this year in Washington? I don't know. Like, here's the thing, chat. Like, I really don't know. I really don't know. Some players are good, and they're good, right? Some players are decent. I think Floor and Yaki are pretty good, pretty decent, right? Could go either way. Floor could win MVP. Floor could be a complete misery success. You know, maybe Floor MVP is a little bit ambitious, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this is messy, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. So once again, surely Glads win this fight, right? Like, you have 4 ults here. This sounds like there's looking like a lot of communicational issues between Dante and DPS and backline. Like, this is a mess. It's a mess. I don't like this. I don't like this. I mean, definitely, I don't know. Kiriko for Kiriko, we talked about this. Kiriko, if the Reaper sits in the Kiriko ult, the Reaper's just straight up better. We have no off-angle control. Kevster gets toasted. Kevster goes in, maybe a little bit ambitious. Where's my Suzu? Why did we use Suzu? Where is Suzu? He has to Suzu that. That gets blocked by Bubble anyway. And then we don't have Suzu for Kevster. Like, we talked about this, guys. Like, even Kiriko ult for Kiriko ult, the Reaper is just better. The Reaper is better. The Reaper is better. The Reaper is better. You cannot match toe to toe to toe to toe. Once again, if we ignore all the outliers of, like, maybe Kevster shouldn't have slid in, maybe the Suzu should have been used. Unfortunately, the Suzu gets blocked by a Bubble. It's Reaper versus Tracer, and we're fighting toe to toe. This is not what we want to do. If you're gonna do this, you have to use more than just Kiriko ult, because you do not. Your Tracer's not. She's not staged for success, right? You're matching toe to toe, Winston to Winston, and a Reaper versus Tracer. Heck, Yaki's not even here. Oh, well, replay viewer, ladies and gentlemen. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, this hero is this is not how we played like this comp. This is just a timing issue, a communicational issue, and just not an understanding issue here. Oh no, Dante, no 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 Dante. Why does my Tracer have to double blink to get here? And why are we jumping this? No. Let me tell you what. Let me tell y'all what we do. Okay. Where does Dante jump? Where does Dante jump right now? You have the information that he has, right? Where does he jump? Right. We jump here. We jump here. Our Tracer harasses backline. We force Sojourn out. Reaper is here. Reaper has to walk his little footsies all the way over here to start shooting us. That's what we have to do. We have to make the Reaper move. Reaper moves to here. Tree slides away. Our backline is now here. Then we do our second jump to jump away from the Reaper. Again, onto the Sojourn without slide. Then we primal, then we win the fight. With our Tracer, Pincer on the backline. It's that simple, y'all. It's that simple. No. We do force a Sojourn slide, but we lose so much HP for it because we end up jumping the Reaper again. There's the primal, but Yaki's already out. Why is Yaki out? Oh man, that's such a cheap recall, mate. That's painful. And part of the reason Yaki's out, by the way, for the cheap recall, actually, you know what, chat? I think part of the reason here is because Dante's going so hard, whereas if Yaki's able to just walk forward and blink and then play the cover here, he might be able to stay here longer. So I think Dante might have indirectly caused this recall by going in too hard too soon. But the problem is now we have recall and primal forest, and our backline still isn't in position yet. or at least is just now getting into position, and then Primal for Primal, but the Reaper will burn the Primal faster than the Tracer will, so we're still losing space. Sojourn ult should be happening right now. Oh. So as soon as this Primal's like done, we should be Sojourn ulting right now, but it CJ and Tree hit the shot, and so it's a mechanical thing. And then now Dante dies. I don't get how Primal forces the recall. It's not the Primal forcing the recall, it's Dante going in so hard so early, right? That forces Yaki to use a really hard commit when he probably could have been a little bit more patient and played for a longer uptime engage, like dropping and then blinking to cover here. I don't know. I think Kevster could have quite a good Sojourn if you give the guy time to practice it. Like, Kevster has like a insane work ethic. But this is a little ugly. That's a nasty stagger. That's gonna allow. Please tell me Dante doesn't die. Oh, the ego 4v5. This is not gonna go well for Gladiators because they can match them ult for ult. We might even see a Reef. Yeah, there I was gonna say Reaper Death Blossom. There it is. And that's it. That's gonna be a map, y'all. I really don't even want to watch the rest of this. No, wait, they don't win this? I was fixing to just shut this off, y'all. I'm not learning anything from this. I don't know about you guys. How do they lose this? How do they lose this? Is it a shot? It's a pulse. Is it a pulse? Reaper comp is easier to play. I mean, probably. It's a little bit simpler. You can just focus the Winston down, but I wouldn't even. Yeah, I don't know. It's the pulse.
This ends now.
Does he not have Wraith? Oh, gotta hear my. What causes Wraith here? This guy egos his Wraith for reload and they lose the fight because of it. Come on, King. Come on, King. This guy's egoing out here. Alright, Kevster. Make my day. Huge stall by Yaki. They should still lose this. Why is he pinging so much? Is it like a Twitch? Maybe they developed the Twitch from scrimming so much. That's actually wild, y'all. That's actually wild. Why no Kai and Sojourn? It could just because so this is something that Atlanta talked about. I know Brad talked about. I don't know. Surely they're able to fix this before the season starts. But the way you play Sojourn is Kai was talking a lot about how like, oh, you play Sojourn. Remember the initial interview? Was it the interview with Kai where he says, oh, Sojourn is such a boring hero. You literally never use your slide. You just shoot. And, you know, you never ever use your shift, and that's the only way to play Sojourn, right? And like obviously that aged like milk. And that's probably why he struggled more, you know, because it requires a little bit more of a dynamic, aggressive, not even aggressive playstyle, but just like a more understanding of like angles and aggressive pressure. And maybe Kai just isn't as good as that, or maybe they're testing it. Maybe Kai does understand it, but right now they're just not the hero of choice right now. So this has been a really ugly scrim so far. A map, really ugly map. Map. I actually kind of like the Widow here. I mean, the ult charge swap is good, but like the sight lane's so long. If you're really nervous about, oh no. The only problem here is I don't know how you take space with Widow here. If you're Saints here, you can literally just sit here and farm your Curie ult, your beat. And even if they get their beat and push into you, or Primal and push into you, I don't think that the Widow can do anything outside of this one particular lane. Yeah, scrims are for experimenting, absolutely. Players as well as strategies, you know? Gosh, Dante just loses so much HP on this stuff, man. Like, he just always ends up trading with Reaper. Always. Like, unless he's farming supportal, he just can't do that, guys. He just can't do that. He just can't do that. He can't do that. Like, I thought that he was farming beat, but no, he's just beating. Like, I don't know. How do they win this, guys? How is this again on an immediate cap? It has to be a Yaki bomb, right? What am I missing here? How? I guess they have the primal to stall. Look at Yaki. Yaki is sitting on King. Look at this. Or Sojourn. Either of these is a kill. Wraith. Come on, you son of a gun. Come on, you son of a gun. Wraith. Con. Oh, Kevster does it. This is wild, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. This is some of the ugly. I'm gonna zoom through this one. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. This is some ugly Overwatch. Yeah, they probably have been playing for a long time. 100%. Unfortunately, beat bug, y'all, so the audio is going to be a little weird. This happens in replay viewer all the time, so just bear with me. They go in hard. Not exactly the best timed thing in the history of the world, but they're going to have primal with it. I'm not super happy with Saint's execution there. I think Saints could have been a little bit more patient and just mark bot, make them walk forward, then push, and then that way we could have had Tree and CJ involved in this, maybe. King gets so low. There's the juggling funny Astro. Why are we not able to peel this off? Honestly, maybe it could be mechanical. Oh man. Yeah. I don't think Kevster needs the shift here. I don't know, but this isolates Astro, and then Astro is dead. Nice juggle for Mikey though. Theoretically, you would think that Astro would live that. But yeah, and then Kev hits the shot. I don't think it was necessarily a mistake from Battle, but there is a lot of a disconnect here, I think, going on here. How does Dante die? They focus the Reaper gets low. The Suzu. No. You know he's going to get Suzu. If you don't kill him now, it's over. There's the Suzu. The peel is there. Your healing, the healing per second is too high. The DPS is not going to outmatch the healing per second, even with bubble. I don't think it's worth. And he over chases again. Yeah, man. I don't know. So like even though he miraculously survives that, we could have just disengaged through window and played off. Okay. Is this it? Surely, guys. Put me out of my misery. Put me down. Put me out of my misery. I want to go home. Please. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it just didn't look like Glads was really checked in there. Yeah, there's not a lot to learn there. I definitely think it was interesting to talk about the Reaper versus Tracer dynamic. The matchup there in terms of the Tracer controlling angles, the Reaper playing more for the Winston trade. Opening space up for the Tracer was super, but that was tough to watch. Not gonna lie. That being said, Glads are probably going to do really well this year. They have a really powerful roster, just a goofy scrim, a goofy map, and coincidentally, just so happened to be the one that that the Saints leaked. I wonder how the rest of the maps went. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that felt a lot like a ranked game. I'm not gonna lie with you guys. That did not have the didn't have the polish. But again, early in the season, the scrims. So who knows? You guys have any questions? Would the Glads benefit from playing wide open space rather than contesting inside room or bot? I mean, yes, absolutely. I do think at least a little bit of that was a lack of understanding of the matchup, which is fair because I doubt we probably see much Reaper in Overwatch League, because most Overwatch League teams have a good Tracer player, and I think Tracer is probably a little bit better. And so what ends up happening is you forget how the original variation of the composition works, if that makes any sense. It's like there were teams in GOATs that were literally like bringing back Moira GOATs and running over Zen GOATs team because teams forgot what made Zen GOATs good in the first place. Bible verse ooh. Yeah, maybe some scrims, maybe some ping as well. Any questions, y'all? Are there any other comps that are meta, or is it only this one? No, we've seen lots of comps actually. We've seen some Bap Zen, we've seen some Brig Zen, we've seen some Rein comp, we've seen Ramacha, which I'm a Ramacha hater personally, but we've seen some Ball Kiri. The Atlanta comps looked really cool with like some of the Ana Zen with Ball. I think Atlanta had some of the more interesting comps outside of their attempts at Ramacha, which kind of offended me. Everything else was like super interesting. So like I don't know, I think there's a lot of cool things. Whether that will sustain into the actual AMA, like EMEA or the whatever meta, it remains to be seen. Hawk on Doom, very fun to watch. Yeah, I love the Ana Zen Doom comp. I think that was such a cool comp to watch and has a lot of potential. What do you think looks strongest right now? I do think Ball looks pretty strong. Brig Zen, it's gonna depend, mates. Like, I don't think Ram looks too strong. I do think Rein still looks very map dependent. Even though Rein is probably pretty strong, it's still quite map dependent. I think it's not even the Rein that's the weak point. The problem with the Rein is that you always have to end up playing it with Bap. And that's just such a problem hero. Bap is still just not a very strong hero. Diva's okay. If we see a lot of Winston, we might see Diva in some maps, but yeah. Yeah, Dante did pretty well in Winston, all things considering, last season. So, I mean, he's in, you know. Why do you have to play Bap with Rein? Because you need enough healing to heal Rein. Zen doesn't do enough healing. Brig doesn't do enough healing. Moira doesn't have enough utility or damage. If you play Ana with Rein, she's too fragile and dies too fast. Kiri is okay with Rein. I would be curious to see how Kiri Rein, if that has been tried at all, but it might be that Kiri doesn't have the healing per second either. Yeah, I'm talking more about non-Rein mirrors. Bap is definitely better in the Rein mirror because of the damage, the window, the shift, the lamp. But versus like dive, I wonder if Kiri Lucio works. Yeah, Lucio has to be played, yep. I didn't do Preds for groups. I don't like doing Preds, honestly, because too much of it is too hard to predict, so my ego's too big to try and look stupid trying to make predictions. And I also, like, I don't know, I prefer the more the analysis side of things. I'll give you my opinion of players generally that I have worked with or that I'm familiar with, but beyond that,